to help people with their day-to-day life, including getting to work.
We know that for a number of people, the cost of transport is really expensive, and if they can't get a car or another mode of transport to go to their job, then a person might lose their job.
Charges have been laid after a man allegedly assaulted a bus driver and 2 police officers at the Elizabeth Railway Station bus interchange yesterday. Other passengers went to the assistance of the driver, who suffered minor injuries. The 32-year-old man's been charged with 2 counts of assaulting police and 1 of aggravated assault. Skeletal remains have been found inside a burnt-out vehicle in Sydney's south. Emergency crews were called to reports a Toyota RAV4 was well alight in a car park at Waterfall. Police are investigating if the remains are human or animal. Scientists have identified more than 300 genes linked to glaucoma, tripling the number initially thought to have contributed to the disease. It's the leading cause of irreversible blindness, affecting more than 75 million people worldwide. Lead researcher Professor Stuart McGregor says early diagnosis is crucial.
We can develop genetic tests which are based on simple blood or saliva tests, and these tests would help predict us who will be at high risk or low risk or intermediate risk of glaucoma.
Hollywood actor Kevin Spacey is facing allegations of historic sex offences in a London court. More from Curry-Ann Greenbank.
The second day of the trial of Kevin Spacey has seen the first of his accusers take to the stand. The session began with the jury being shown a video recording of the interview the complainant first gave to police. He was then questioned from behind a curtain to protect his identity and called Spacey a slippery, snaky, difficult person, and that the alleged assaults were almost like grooming. The alleged victim says there were around 12 occasions when he was assaulted by Spacey over a period of around 4 years in the early 2000s. Spacey is facing 12 counts of sexual assault against 4 men, which he denies. The trial is expected to last between 3 and 4 weeks.
And the Barbie movie has been banned in Vietnam. The film shows a map with the 9-dash line, a representation of China's territorial claims in the South China Sea. Vietnam says the inclusion violates its sovereignty. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
Here's Jono Edwards.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's head straight to the UK. And Australian Jordan Thompson has rallied back superbly at Wimbledon and has secured a place in the second round of the championships. Craig Gabriel is at centre court.
It was a huge result for Jordan Thompson, who skipped into the air when the last point was won. After 3 hours 30 minutes and from 2 sets to love down, Thompson has beaten American Brandon Nakashima 2-6, 2-6, 6-4, 7-6, 6-3. It's the third time that Thompson has won from 2 sets to love down. The last was at the 22 Australian Open, and he likely play Novak Djokovic. Already through today in Iga Swiatek and Jessica Pegula and Vika Azarenka.
Fellow Aussies Max Purcell and Storm Hunter are out in the opening round. Nick Kyrgios, of course, has withdrawn from the tournament with a wrist injury. To wrap up the cricket, Nathan Lyon has been ruled out for the remainder of the Ashes series due to a significant calf tear. No replacement has been added to the Australian squad yet, but coach Andrew McDonald has hinted off-spinner Todd Murphy is almost certain to replace Lyon for the third test starting on Thursday.
Todd's pretty well placed. We like to have a spinner in our attack. It gives us a different balance. Short turnaround, we'll assess where everyone's at, and then clearly we'll assess the surface and the weather conditions up there.
England has released Rehn, Ahmed and Matthew Potts from their squad for Headingley. Australia leads the series 2-0 after a dramatic 43-run win at Lords. The AFL's Round 16 Rising Star nominee is a Crow. 21-year-old Luke Pedler recognised for his role in the win over North Melbourne. And finally, Matilda's captain, Sam Kerr, and forward Caitlin Ford, has been picked up to represent Australia at the 4th FIFA Women's World Cup. The Aussie women kick off in their tournament against Ireland on the 20th of July. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Now the FIVEAA forecast.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Partly cloudy, a high of 15 today, a late shower or two tomorrow, 17, and then showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 15. At the moment, 9. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
FIVEAA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Lucy Lokan.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry!
6 after 6. Good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. bit of an upbeat song to get you out and about, bouncing out of bed, although hopefully not quite this early. Hopefully you can enjoy a little lie-in. Currently it is 9 degrees outside, but feels like 7. So feel free to stay in bed and you can jump on the computer and watch us on the Foodland live stream if you like. But Tom Rehn, day 2 of what colour T-shirt am I wearing? Today it's just, you've gone with the plain, boring white. Good morning, Rennie.
And a very good morning to you as well, Lucy. I thought I'd just go the stock standard today. I did say that yesterday I had that attire on to go to the gym. Guess what? I didn't end up going.
Are you going to go to the gym today? You've come in your shorts and your T-shirt again.
I'll get there today. I have to try and go there at least 2. The last few weeks I've been much better and gone 3 times, so I will get there today. I did play indoor soccer last night. We lost, so I did get some exercising yesterday. I feel like I need to get some kind of physical activity most days, otherwise you get into a bit of a rut. So, disappointing we went down last night, but very plain today, plain Jane.
Did you feel threatened by the comments on the live stream yesterday?
Not as much as I did about the ones on the English cricket team and what happened the day before. So the live stream was fine. I was happy with people's feedback on that. But goodness me, I sent out a tweet yesterday about the Alex Carey situation, Lucy, and I haven't had that much feedback for a long time. People in the UK having a crack left, right and centre. I see today it's front and back page news. Rishi Sunak has come out overnight and said the Australians aren't playing in the spirit of the game. The UK Prime Minister, hasn't that story blown up?
There's something wild about British people when Aussies win at the cricket. They just can't handle it. When I lived in England, they won the rugby and they let us as an Australian family, they wouldn't shut up about it for the whole year and a half I was there.
Yeah.
We were on the rugby and I thought, well, that's cool, but we don't care about the rugby as much here in Adelaide. But when they lose the cricket, it's like... I can't even explain it because I'm not even a cricket fan, but I understand the emotions behind it. They just can't let it go. And for their Prime Minister's representative to come out and say, no, we didn't think Australia played fairly. Come on, Mr. Sunak.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
Well, what's Anthony Albanese going to say now? Hopefully he can get on the front foot, pardon the pun, and have a bit of a crack back. It has just been all kinds of levels of deflection from the fact that they haven't been good enough in the first 2 tests. And I think it's actually, they're trying to actually now deflect some of that pressure that they're facing 3, 4, possibly even 5-0 in this series. I would love for us to go to Leeds now. It's going to be a hostile reception, and Alex Carey, who's one of the most mild-mannered, lovely people, whether he likes it or not, unfortunately, he's going to be, a villain, and he's going to get absolutely lambasted by the people. But he is a professional. He's a star person. I think he'll be fine, but... wow, even I have been staggered at the level of vitriol and anger that has come out from the English. And you know what? Keep it coming, because that whinging, hook it into my veins. It's beautiful.
You'll like this, Rennie. On the LBC Breakfast Radio Show, which is one of the leading news services over there in the UK, one of the male hosts, his name is Nick Ferrari, they were chatting about Rishi Sunak's comments. Here is Nick Ferrari trying to do an Australian accent.
Should the Australian captain have said, hey, hold on, no, I don't want him to go in that way?
No.
What was that?
Who do they think we are? No. Should I go?
Yeah. What was that? That was, I'm not sure what that was.
Breakfast radio host impersonating Australia.
Well, no, I mean,
Huge.
the accent, like what?
No. But that's now, he's just done an impression on national breakfast radio, and he thinks, now everyone in the UK is going to think we sound all like that.
Yeah. Oh.
Rishi Sunak's comments, though, so the representative says... he was asked whether Australia's actions were not in keeping with the spirit of the cricket. His spokesman said yes. The Prime Minister agrees with Ben Stokes. He said he simply wouldn't want to win a game in the manner Australia did.
Which is just the height of hypocrisy, given that, the wicketkeeper Johnny Bairstow, who was run out that way, tried to do the same thing 2 days earlier. We've spoken about that. I mean, it is, Brendan McCullum, who said they won't be having a beer, he did it during his playing career. Folks, who's a keeper for England as well, he's done it during his career. It's just wild. The level of hypocrisy is just laughable. It's so funny that it beggars belief at times. But let them carry on. Let them, deflect and, try and change the narrative so that it doesn't, put the spotlight on the fact that they're 2-0 down in this Ashes series.
Jump in on the conversation all morning today, folks. 8223 0000. You can text us on the Duttons text line. Thanks to Duttons, 3 dealerships and 10 franchises in the Adelaide Hills and Murray Bridge. Duttons, easy to do business with. Jimbo's sent us one already. Hi, Tom and Lucy. Happy Independence Day. Yes, I know it is an American holiday.
Yeah.
July the 4th, significant for the Americans, significant for my little puppy. Today's the day she gets desexed.
Oh, it's going to be a tough day for the little pup.
Is that the anniversary dogs probably don't want to remember ever?
I don't think they're going to be enjoying that one too much.
She'll be in for a rude shock this morning all day when I pick her up later. Also one here, Mark from Parry Hills on the Duttons text line. Well done, Luke Pedler, for winning this week's Rising Star Award. Good young player who's going to get better for the Crows.
And we'll cover that off in sport, in the next 10 minutes or so. But yeah, that is a sensational announcement and a very good player on the rise, Mark. I totally agree.
On the show this morning, we're chatting with the editor of Wheels magazine, Andy Enright. For those car fans, Wheels magazine's turning 70 this year. It's been a massive standout in car publications in Australia. 70 years this year.
That's a great effort, isn't it?
We're talking with Dr. Colin Mendelsohn. This absolutely shocking story last night where a 4-year-old was forced into vaping by a family member.
Terrible. And the scenes of it are just horrific. I think a 16-year-old has since been charged, but terrible story, that one.
We'll get his thoughts on it. He's the founding chairman of the Australian Tobacco Harm Reduction Association. I've got a few thoughts about what he might be thinking. We're also going to chat with Terry Schutz. He's a CFS volunteer who's just come back from Canada. We've had a number of SA CFS volunteers headed over to Canada to fight. They call them wildfires in Northern America, I believe. Keen to hear his thoughts on not only how it went and the safety around that, but how different it is to fighting fires here.
Well, exactly, just in terms of conditions and knowing all about it. And you know what, it's great that those volunteers have been able to get over there and help out. It's hard to think of bushfires when you think of the climate here, but clearly it's the opposite in the Northern Hemisphere. So a fantastic service that he and so many others have done. So looking forward to getting his thoughts on what's been happening over there.
And we have a couple of Ugg Boots vouchers to give away all morning. $100 Uggs to You vouchers. We'll let you know how you can win them. But first step is, of course, by calling in onto the program. Anything you like this morning, 8223 0000. Richard, though, we were chatting about cricket earlier. Richard in Glenside. What are your thoughts on the cricket this morning?
Oh, hi, guys. I just wanted to ask Tom a question.
Mm-hmm.
The old days of being injured and then having a runner bat at the other end, what's happened to that ruling? I'm not sure.
Great question. I know that you can now have the concussion sub. Remember that happened 4 years ago, didn't it, Richard, in the match when Steve Smith was hit? But it used to be that you could have the runner. I think they outlawed it because they felt teams were exploiting it. So I think they've got to bring it back, though. I mean, surely if you're injured within a game like Nathan Lyon was, everyone knows he wasn't faking that calf injury. It just seemed wild and ludicrous to me that he couldn't have a runner. So that's the ruling, though, now, that I think there's no runner for any player, whether you're injured during the game or not.
No, fair enough, yeah. No, I was just it wasn't brought up in the paper or anything, and I was just interested to see. It wasn't mentioned, that was all. And I thought, maybe I've missed something.
Yeah, no, great question. Thanks so much for that, Richard. So
Richard.
He's talking about Nathan Lyon was injured, I think it was day 3, totally tore his calf, and then came out to bat for Australia on day 4. Luce, he couldn't move. He was basically batting on one leg.
And he did make 4 runs, though, didn't he?
It was a heroic effort to go out there. You could see he was in agony. And Mitchell, they had a partnership of 15, him and Mitch Stark, who made a few at the other end. But it does, I think, raise the question again, should players be allowed to get runners moving forward? I think if you're injured within the game, legitimately, absolutely. Because it just seems stupid that you'd then have to go out and bat, with no runner when clearly you're hampered. But they've changed that rule because in the past, unfortunately, it had been exploited at times where, players that were slow runners between the wickets would get someone who's a fast runner. So that's the issue.
Coming up are some news headlines, but that text number is 0448 08 1395. We'd love to hear from you this morning. Back with the headlines after this.
Adelaide Direct Stationers is more than just stationery. We're one of SA's largest suppliers of tech products, washroom products, PPE, workplace health and safety equipment, office furniture, food, snacks, beverages and much more. We have all your office and business needs in one place, with free next day delivery on orders over $50, plus same day 2-hour express delivery. Adelaide Direct Stationers, serving SA's largest businesses and a preferred government supplier. Visit adelaidedirectstationers.com.au.
This month, all kids 14 and under get to go to the footy for free.
What about that?
That's all games between rounds 16 and 19 of the 2023 Toyota AFL Premiership season. From selfies to screamers and tasty treats.
Spectacular!
Make it an awesome day for the family with a day out at the footy. Kids go free rounds 16 to 19.
Boy, oh boy, wow-wee!
Go to afl.com.au/kidsmonth. Terms and conditions apply, subject to capacity and availability.
Let New Zealand take your breath away on an exclusive 17-day getaway with Holiday Wonders Mitcham. Fly direct from Adelaide with Air New Zealand and experience the best of what the North and South Islands have to offer, with meals, accommodation and so much more included, and more highlights than any comparable New Zealand trips. Right now, it's our best value ever. Save up to $980 per couple. Call now or visit holidaywonders.com.au. Holiday Wonders, Belair Road, Mitcham.
Hey, excuse me, you're Adam, right?
Yeah, I'm Adam.
The Adam who bought his hearing aids at Specsavers?
Actually, yeah.
The Adam who got quoted thousands more elsewhere, then got top-of-the-range hearing aids at Specsavers?
Yeah.
Hey, everyone, this is Adam.
Get your hearing aids at Specsavers and you'll never hear the end of it. We've got everyday low prices on the latest tech hearing aids. Book your free 15-minute hearing check with your local audiology professional at specsavers.com.au/hearing. Conditions apply.
5AA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Lucy Lokan.
The Cherry Amoda 5. State-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
David and Will on a well-earned break this week for their mid-year holidays. Tommy and I in the chairs right through till Friday. Join us. Give us a ring, 8223 0000. Phil has done so. We'll get to you shortly, Phil. We'll just get to some headlines first of all, because I know Phil's got another cricket call, which will slot perfectly into our morning sports update shortly. But a man has been charged after allegedly assaulting a bus driver and 2 police officers yesterday about 3:45 at the Elizabeth railway station. Other passengers came to the assistance of the driver, who sustained minor injuries. It's alleged the 32-year-old Nuruyupta man then assaulted 2 police officers, including spitting on one of them, but they weren't otherwise injured. It's a disgusting story. We'll chat with the cops more about that in half an hour's time. The federal government is pushing for more Australians to learn Indonesian as both countries forge closer ties. President Joko Widodo is in Sydney for key talks with our Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. The pair will focus on the economy and regional security, but lifting education ties and clean energy investment is also high on the agenda. One of my best friends lives in Naracoorte, went to Naracoorte Primary. They did Indonesian there.
It's probably not one of the more popular choices, but given the proximity of the country, it's not a bad call, is it, to learn the language, and people often travel there, so why not? But it's probably more common to learn a language. French, German, they were the main ones that were offered when I was going through school. I know you speak very good French as well.
Yeah, Chinese and Japanese as well, I found, were the more common ones offered in primary schools, but Naracoorte Primary, Indonesian.
It's great, isn't it? That diversity, I think it's fantastic.
I don't know if they still do, but it's good to have the option, given that so many people travel to Bali or other islands as part of Indonesia. It's a neighbouring country.
And I think it's great that you did the language. My mum speaks Polish. She was the first of her family that was born out here, but can still speak Polish. I know Will's mum does as well. You're bilingual as well. I think it's such a great skill to have. It's not too late. It's something I wish I did do.
There's still time, Tommy.
There is still
you
time.
Just said it's not too late.
Yeah, I know. I should do it. I keep saying I'm too old to learn now.
No, you're only 40.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Do we need to relive the celebratory cannon of confetti?
Yeah.
Bring that out again. This was in the news last night as well, but a massive story. 2 men have been charged with trying to import 84 kilograms of ketamine into Australia. Federal Police and Border Force officials intercepted a shipment in Melbourne where they discovered the drug in hidden compartments inside 2 vans. The men, aged 28 and 29, were arrested in Sydney. AFP Detective Acting Superintendent Paul Watt says they're accused of taking part in a sophisticated multinational operation.
The estimated wholesale value of the seized ketamine is $3.3 million. The AFP alleges trusted insiders placed the drugs inside the vans offshore and liaised with Australian-based criminal syndicates who are monitoring the movements of the vans.
$3.3 million, 84k kilos of ketamine. More details have emerged about what happened on board the Titanic sub before its implosion last month. The wife of one of the passengers says the five spent their final moments in complete darkness listening to music. It's pitch black for the descent. The headlights were supposedly turned off to save battery power. Passengers were told to load their favourite music onto their phones so it could be played through a Bluetooth speaker. It's such a tragic story, and now
terrible.
that we know what they would have been doing makes that even harder.
Yeah, it does. You just hope, Lucy, and it seems that it is the case that it happened so quickly that they didn't feel anything. That's right. It was instantaneous, and then it's all over.
Small mercy.
Small mercy. Yeah, I know it's cold comfort for relatives and loved ones, but that would be the only saving grace, to make it a little bit easier to accept.
David's favourite story last week, the Taylor Swift ticket chase. Well, the great ticket chase last week cost the Australian economy big bucks. It's been calculated there was more than $217 million in lost productivity.
Amazing. So what do people refresh?
That's based on 4 million fans spending 1 hour in the online ticket queue.
People at work pretending to be busy tapping away, but they're on the Taylor Swift website.
Just pressing refresh. And it came out that even if you joined in the queue at 4 a.m. or 9 a.m, it didn't matter because it was all a random choice anyway, who they let in.
Yeah.
So if you jumped on at 4 a.m, there's 5 hours of wasted time when you could have just jumped on at 8:30 for an hour and it was still random draw.
I'm still staggered by the level of hysteria. And look, good on Taylor Swift, great performer, but people have just gone gaga for these tickets, haven't they? Are you a Taylor Swift devotee? Are you heading along?
No. Yeah. I had much better things to do, Rennie, like nap or do the food shopping, something like that. $217 million in lost productivity, 4 million fans only spending 1 hour. Wild, isn't it?
It's amazing.
15 and partly cloudy today, 17 tomorrow, 15 on Thursday, up to 20 mils of rain on Thursday we are expecting in the city. Friday 15 with 7 mils, rainy again on Saturday up to 10 mils and 15, and Sunday 15 up to 3 mils of rain. Keep those texts coming in, folks, 0448 08 13 95. But let's get to our 6:20 sports update. Gliderol Garage Doors adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au. We do want to cover off Wimbledon, but Phil from Henley Beach has been waiting patiently to chat about the cricket. Good morning to you, Phil.
Morning, how are you two?
Good, thank you, Phil.
Now, I vaguely remember they changed the rules about having runners quite a while back, but you had to be injured while you're actually batting to have a runner.
Right.
And apparently they changed about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. You can't have in an NFL test match, you can't have a runner at all because people were rorting the scheme. So, they're the ones that made the rules. They keep the ones changing the rules, and then they say, when next thing they'll bring the rule that Australia can't have a wicket keeper. So that's... someone mentioned before about the 4th of July. That was 250 years ago, and the Poms are still whinging about losing that match as well. So,
Thank you, Phil.
Very funny headlines coming out. It's all coming out. You win some, you lose some is the back page headline. Today, for the Advertiser, for example, another text as well on the Duttons text line. I'm not 100% sure about international cricket, but in our club cricket, a runner is allowed if both captains are in agreement, and it has to be the last batsman out, so you can't use the 12th man, for example. That's from Andrew at Kersbrook. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, it might differ in levels of cricket, but it seems like in Test cricket you cannot use the runner. They've just put a blanket rule over that to try and stop exploitation, but it did seem crazy. In the case of Nathan Lyon, you could see he'd legitimately torn his calf. Other sport I want to talk about, Lucy, for our sporting update this morning. Wimbledon is underway. For those waking up this morning wondering how things are going from an Australian perspective, Storm Hunter, who did such a great job qualifying last week to get into the main draw, she won through qualifying, unfortunately has gone down in straight sets, as has Max Purcell. He has lost, but a fantastic win for Jordan Thompson. So there was at least one winner. He won in 5 sets, and that's after being 2 sets to love down against American Brandon Nakashima. So a fantastic result there for Jordan Thompson. Nick Kyrgios has pulled out of the tournament, so a big blow given that he was a finalist last year, and Alex de Minaur probably carrying the highest hopes, ranked or seeded number 16 for this tournament, so he's got a good protected seeding. for Wimbledon this year. Let's hope that he can go in deep. He'd play a little bit later tonight. The other big result overnight was Sophia Kenin beating fellow American Coco Gauff, who is the number 7 seed. But Sophia Kenin, a former Australian Open winner, has had her issues in the past, has really struggled probably for the last 18 months or so, but a fantastic result for her overnight, winning through her first round match against Coco Gauff. So a great effort there from her. And we had a text a little bit earlier. Luke Pedler, the Rising Star nominee for this week. Lucy, I'm lucky enough to call him a lot of weeks when I do the Crows games. He's going to be a very good player for a long time. Once he starts getting a go in the midfield, I think the sky's the limit for this young man. He was an early draft pick from a few years ago, only managed 5 games in 2 years because of his body, but this year he's got it right and he just plays football the right way. 19 goals so far this season, and he's just got some tricks about him. I think he's going to be an exceptional player, and I think the Crows have got a lot to look forward to there. He booted 2 goals on the weekend, only 11 touches and 4 tackles, but he's a very selfless player. He's tough, does the little things really well. So I think there's a bit to look forward to there for Luke Pedler for this season and hopefully beyond for the Adelaide Football Club.
Nearly 10 p.m. in London, so no doubt the first day of play at Wimbledon's nearly over, unless they've got one of those crazy 4 a.m. matches. Andy Murray Kokonakis, of course, Tanasi Kokonakis isn't playing in the singles draw. He didn't qualify, sadly, our Adelaide boy, but we wish those remaining Aussies well for Wimbledon. No doubt we'll be across it all of this week. Coming up after 6:30, we're going to chat about something that people probably know about but don't actually actively think about when they come into our country, let alone South Australia, what people are currently trying to bring in.
Oh, okay, I'm intrigued. Hopefully not ketamine.
Yeah, well, they caught that one, thankfully. No, not drugs, but we'll hear about our attempted imports after the news.
If you're feeling unwell, you might be thinking of heading to the emergency department. But sometimes there's better ways to get better. For coughs and colds, a GP or respiratory clinic might be better. For minor cuts and grazes, you're better off at a pharmacy. And the emergency department is always there if you need it. Not sure what to do? Call Health Direct on 1800 022 222. For more info, visit sahealth.sa.gov.au. A message from the Government of South Australia.
The Kia EV6 GT. A sleek, pure electric supercar. Enjoy your flight. The Kia EV6 GT.
Kia, movement that inspires.
Hi, I'm Craig Kirkwood from Goldsborough Financial Services. I'm passionate about helping people understand how important life insurance is as part of a long-term financial planning strategy. I've helped many of our clients successfully claim against their policies to help protect their family or business. I can explain the different types of products available to you and the best way to structure your policies. See our website, then come and see us. We're here for your peace of mind. Goldsborough, for all your tomorrows. Goldsborough Financial Services, AFSL number 225330.
It's time to sail away with Princess Cruises and Phil Hoffman Travel. Princess Cruises early bird sale is on now with up to 40% off selected 2024 season sailings. Whether you're a European explorer, Aussie adventurer or Thailand traveller, there's a cruise on offer for you with amazing early savings. Plus, cruise the latest and newest ship, Sun Princess, on her maiden Mediterranean season. T's and C's apply. Contact Phil Hoffman Travel today or visit pht.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 15 with the 6:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
The Reserve Bank's considering whether it should raise interest rates for the 13th time since May last year. While recent data shows inflation's moderating, new figures reveal a strong rebound in the property sector. Almost a third of buy now, pay later users are skipping paying household bills to meet their repayments. More from Emily Minnie.
Finance experts warn the buy now, pay later sector is pushing people into enormous debt. A survey from Finder shows people who use services like Afterpay, Zip or Klarna are ignoring their everyday expenses to pay off the short-term loans. Around 14% of respondents admitted to not paying their electricity bills, 11% said they missed a meal, and 9% skipped a mortgage repayment. New laws to regulate the sector and classify them as credit products will be brought in by the end of the year.
The Regional Australia Institute has launched a recruitment drive to lure city slickers to the country. The think tank says there are currently 91,000 jobs available in regional and remote parts of Australia, offering relief from the housing stress and cost of living pressures in the city. Rural Doctors Association Peter Rutherford says medical professionals can go anywhere.
There's plenty of opportunity and incentives to relocate. There's support. You're never on your own. And it's a great learning environment, whether you're a teacher or a junior doctor just starting out in your career. Working in the regions makes a huge difference and will make people a better doctor.
The Voice has hit another hurdle with a new poll revealing 55% of people intend to vote no. The survey of more than 10,000 people found almost 60% of regional Australians are likely to vote against the proposal. 72% say the government hasn't done enough to explain the Voice and how it will work. Boosting renewable energy and education ties will dominate the agenda at today's talks between Australia and Indonesia. More from Zach De Silva.
It's a busy day of wall-to-wall meetings after the Indonesian President Joko Widodo landed in Sydney late last night. He's meeting with business leaders this morning as he tries to beef up investment, especially in the renewables sector. Indonesia is hoping to become a battery manufacturing giant. The President will have lunch with the Governor-General and Prime Minister ahead of diplomatic talks between Mr Widodo and Anthony Albanese. Lifting the number of Australians learning the Indonesian language is among the other key issues on the agenda.
Actor Kevin Spacey has been labelled a predator by a man who's accused him of sexual assault. The 63-year-old is charged with 12 counts of sexual assault against 4 men. He's pleaded not guilty. And a US skydiving facility says an Australian woman had been using her own parachute when she was killed in an accident. It's believed 29-year-old instructor Melissa Porter was testing a new jump technique when she initiated the landing manoeuvre too close to the ground. The centre says their equipment is maintained properly. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
Here's Jono Edwards.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's head straight to the tennis. And Australian Jordan Thompson has set up a second-round clash with the defending Wimbledon champion. Craig Gabriel is at Wimbledon.
Jordan Thompson will be playing Novak Djokovic in the second round. It'll be a first time, and it's likely to be on centre court. Djokovic opened his title defence by beating Argentine Pedro Cecchini 6-3, 6-3, 7-6, while for Thompson it was quite a battle against Brandon Nakashima, who was up 2-0. Incredibly, Thompson clawed his way back, and for the third time won from that sort of deficit, 2-6, 2-6, 6-4, 7-6, 6-3. Earlier, Aussie Max Purcell lost to Andre Rublev, and Storm Hunter lost to Wang Xinyu.
Yeah, Purcell admits his preparation wasn't the best after dealing with a foot fracture playing in Korea a couple of months ago.
It's been a long 6 months of the year already, and I've played a lot of matches, so it's kind of upsetting. The whole reason to get to the top 100 is to play the slams, try and go deep in the slams, so it's a little bit gutting to not be able to give it a proper full 100% swing, but in saying that, I'm hoping I can get fit, get healthy, and then attack the US summer.
To cycling, British cyclist Adam Yates retains the yellow jersey after stage 3 of the Tour de France, won by Jasper Philipsen. The AFL's round 16 rising star is a Crow. 21-year-old Luke Pedler recognised for his role within the win over North Melbourne. And finally, Port's Scott Lysette will miss this weekend's home game against the Gold Coast as he recovers from a knee injury. Scans have confirmed he has a small cartilage tear, and that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Now checking the FIVEAA forecast.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Partly cloudy, a high of 15 today, a late shower or two tomorrow, 17, and then showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 15. At the moment, 9. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
5AA Breakfast with Tom Wren and Lucy Lokan.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
6:36 on this Tuesday morning. Coming up a bit later in the show, my review of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
At 8:20. Everyone will find out if I'm a fan of Jack Nicholson or not.
And I think I made the fatal mistake in our little breakout area of asking you before we came on what your thoughts were, and you said you were to reveal absolutely nothing until the listeners find out as well, Lucy.
That's right. Dave and Will always try and get answers out of me early, and you tried the same thing, and everyone gets the same answer. All shall be revealed at 8:20.
So I walked into that one, didn't I?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest review coming up at 8:20. Okay. And we're also going to chat with the Food Bank CEO, Greg Pattinson. Rates are potentially rising again today. The discussion around cost of living is ever prevalent at the moment. And Greg Pattinson, who works for Food Bank, of course, is one of those foundations that's really tied up with helping people with their food and groceries, and a shocking story in the paper today, which I'm sure is something that has been ongoing. Blake used to work at Coles. He was saying people used to shoplift all the time. They're just a lot more brazen with it now. So we'll chat with Greg Pattinson from Food Bank later.
Well, it's a real issue, isn't it, for people at the moment? Costs of living, as you say, Lucy, sky high, and coupled with interest rate rises. We've had 12, I think, in 14 months. It's really hard, to find those extra dollars to get by with inflation being as it is, and, house prices going up, rents going up. It's difficult. So we'll get to the bottom of that story a little bit later too.
On the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream, Brent the Milky said, it's like chalk and cheese. Tom in a white T-shirt, Lucy in the reliable puffer jacket. Brent, you'll be able to see that I'm not wearing it currently, but it's on my lap as a blanket now, the old puffer.
Mine's on my chair. I probably should put that on.
Useless. What? You own it, Tom. Just wear it.
I need to do that.
It's right. It is 8.9 degrees in the city.
It's warmer than yesterday.
That's right. The sun is coming up at 7:25 this morning. Sunset 5:16 this evening. Now, I did tease about what people are trying to bring into South Australia. I went to the airport once. I was flying back from somewhere, and it's the only time I've ever seen it. They were filming an episode of Border Security. I love Border Security.
Right.
I really love people trying to bring stuff in and not realise that they haven't declared various types of food or plants or whatever. Anyway, if you've been on Border Security, would love to hear from you. Or if you've been witness to an episode being filmed, definitely keen to hear from you. Or any other fellow lovers of the show. I don't think there are too many that sit and watch free-to-air TV now, and things like Highway Patrol or RBT or Border Security. I will proudly say that as a millennial, I sit and watch them often.
So what is it? You just like the idea of people trying to smuggle stuff in or doing it accidentally?
Yeah, I just find it fascinating. Like it's a real life it's like a reality show, but it's actually happening.
Yeah.
And it's not scripted, and there's no winners. People often lose out,
I was going to say, it's generally pretty much just losers, isn't it? I mean, you can get into serious trouble, particularly if you're doing it deliberately, like, people trying to smuggle in, 83 kilos of ketamine. But,
right.
when it's something else, that they've just put in their bag, mistakenly, you can get into a fair bit of strife.
So 7 News were given an exclusive look at what kinds of bizarre souvenirs of late that people are trying to smuggle into our state. That's both through the airport and, of course, the outer harbour shipping route. The biggest threats to us, of course, plants, animals and food. Biosecurity officers are also heavily checking now the health of people coming into the country to stop spreadable diseases like COVID-19. Of course, you can declare goods and then have it checked over when you arrive, but if you don't declare it in your search, it's a huge penalty. So on the day that 7 filmed the story that they aired last night, the goods uncovered were a dead piranha displayed as a trophy.
Goodness.
So someone had a dead piranha fish and put it on a little trophy mount. There was a live giant snail, like as big as my hand, live frogs, and a lion skin, complete with the head.
My goodness. So, I mean, most of them pertaining to animals, aren't they? All of them, I think, there that you've listed.
Yep, all of them could carry separate dangerous diseases and cost the economy millions or even billions of dollars. Here's Brett Liebich from the Agriculture and Fisheries Department.
It's absolutely no joke. If those pests and diseases happen to make it in, that affects our reputation on the world scene as a trading partner of excellence.
I know a lot of foods in the Asian countries and in Indonesia, like we mentioned, they have specialty foods and different tastes. And when students come here or people travelling, they like to bring a piece of home with them. But not all the time it complies with our biosecurity laws. And I know Will's wife has made the unfortunate error of when you're ticking the yellow slip of paper, when you fly back in and says, did you bring anything, yes or no? She ticked the wrong column. She ticked it all yes.
Oh.
She said, yes, I've got weapons. Yes, I've got $10,000 of cash. Yes, I've got insects. Yes, I've got food. And then Will leaned over and said, actually, we have none of that. Maybe get a new form.
Oh, so he spotted it before they submitted it. Good thing he did.
Yeah, she ticked yes to the entire column. And I'm sure, of course, there are people that would tick no to the entire column truthfully.
Yes.
And then also untruthfully.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's when it's more sinister. And I'm sure with Ali, they would have soon realised, well, no, you're not a super villain.
Yeah, that's right.
But, you know, you got to be careful. You got to have your wits about you. It's when it's more sinister, though, Lucy's, when you get into more trouble. But like you say, a lot of people putting stuff in their bags, in their luggage, thinking, oh, this is a great little memento or trophy, or, you know, bringing a piece of home with me. But you just can't do it.
And like Brett Liebich said there from the fisheries industry, we are a proud world player. We have a strong trade industry with lots of different continents, and we don't want that compromised, or within our states either. SA.
Well, you still hear the fruit fly, don't you? When
That's right.
when you're on the planes, you often hear those warnings, you know, coming from the stewardesses or the captain, you know, saying make sure that you dispose of any food or fruit that you've got in your bags.
Yeah, and driving between the states as well. They say if you're coming into SA, you can't bring your fruit or eat it now or put it in these bins that are specifically designated to hold interstate fruit. Yeah, I think trying to bring in a dead piranha disguised as a trophy is a step too far. But
that's taking it up a notch.
I mean, good on you for getting your hands on a piranha, I say.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Oh, someone help me out with a piranha fact. They're definitely not native to anywhere except, I'm guessing, South America.
Yeah, and I mean, how deadly are they, or can they be, piranhas? I read about them to Charlie, my 4-year-old, all the time, but they have got fairly sharp little teeth, don't they? And I wonder how big a piranha can get. Do they vary in size, or I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't like to run into one, Lucy, put it that way. I wouldn't want to be swimming with them to find out.
Between 12 and 35 centimetres in length.
So, okay, yeah, that's reasonable, isn't it? Yep, that's a foot.
They believe to have been derived from a fish that lived between 8 to 10 million years ago.
Goodness me.
Great, so it's prehistoric.
Yeah, that can't be that healthy.
Coming up, we will chat with the Weather Bureau and police. And Andy Enright from Wheels magazine, he is the editor of a proud car vehicle magazine. It's been going for 70 years strong in Australia. We'll help him celebrate the 70th birthday. But speaking of cars, let's check traffic for your first run in this morning.
Thanks, Lucy, and good morning. FIVEAA Watermain to check out this morning. Got one at Coromandel Valley, Main Road to Ackland Hill Road. She's down to 40 there. Another one at Erbray, Glen Osborne Road at the bottom of the freeway. And McGill traffic lights playing up this morning, McGill Road at Penfold Road. Slow for works at Keswick, Richmond Road near Hampton Road, and early morning cameras, Crittenden Road, Findon, and Days Road at Croydon Park. A massive $783 million could be yours with the USA Power Lotto. Hurry, draw closes in less than 3 hours. Grab your tickets now at lotteryoffice.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Adelaide Direct Stationers is more than just stationery. We're one of SA's largest suppliers of tech products, washroom products, PPE, workplace health and safety equipment, office furniture, food, snacks, beverages and much more. We have all your office and business needs in one place, with free next day delivery on orders over $50, plus same day 2-hour express delivery. Adelaide Direct Stationers, serving SA's largest businesses and a preferred government supplier. Visit adelaidedirectstationers.com.au.
Gents, have you got the urge to pee again, even though you only just went? Caruso's Pee Less for Men relieves that annoying gotta pee again feeling and helps support healthy bladder and prostate function. So, if your need to pee all the time is getting in the way of enjoying life, try Caruso's Pee Less today. Caruso's Pee Less is made in Australia, comes with a money-back guarantee and is available from leading pharmacies and health food stores. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
It's time to raise the bar. If you're organising an event, anything from a small meeting to a grand gala, you'll know there are many things to consider. So trust the experts at Adelaide Convention Centre to help you elevate your vision. With the support from our team at every stage, you'll be amazed at what can happen in turning each aspect into an unforgettable experience for both you and your guests. Contact our team and discover the magic to elevate your vision at Adelaide Convention Centre.
Hey, you in the car. If your next service is due, just remember that Mawson Lakes Mazda has your back. We'll take care of you with next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash, and your breakfast or lunch is on us. Your car gets the love too, with our state-of-the-art service centre brimming with top-trained mechanics. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, we'll look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
FIVEAA Breakfast with Tom Wren and Lucy Lokan.
The Cherry Motor 5. State-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
Chatting cars in a moment. If you've got a favourite car over the past 70 years, or just your favourite car you've ever owned, your first car, we'd love to hear your car stories this morning. 8223 0000. My first car was a Holden Astra.
Mine was a Nissan Skyline that I used to drive around, I reckon. It was just mum and dad's. But then I drove a Ford Focus when I bought my first car. But yeah, it's funny. It takes you back, doesn't it? A lot of memories with your first car.
I cried when I got rid of my first car.
Oh, really?
I didn't cry going to boarding school, but I cried when I got rid of my first car.
What's that sentimental sort of attachment that you have with it? You know, you do so much with it. And it means something. It's nice.
It sure does. 8223 0000. Let's head across to the Weather Bureau. Simon Timke's on duty. Morning, Simon.
Morning, Lucy. Morning, Tom.
Another dry day today, Simon, but not for long.
Oh, that's right, Lucy. Yeah, we had a bit of cloud overnight and even the odd light shower around sort of late yesterday evening and the very early hours of this morning, but that cloud has cleared away to the east. Even a few breaks in the cloud now, so maybe a little bit of sunshine around at times at first this morning. But conditions should remain dry, as you say, and the wind's generally pretty light to start off with. Any direction is from the northeast to northerly, and those winds not expected to get too strong either today. Maximum temperature for the city expecting 15 degrees today. Currently we're sitting on our overnight minimum of 8.1 degrees and that temperature still dropping a little bit. Around the suburbs, 15 as well, the maximum for Glenelg and Elizabeth, 14 for Noarlunga and 13 degrees for Mount Barker. Tomorrow, Wednesday, will be dry during the day, I think, but we'll see cloud increasing ahead of the next change. We might see some showers develop overnight Wednesday, so possibly late Wednesday evening, and then showers continuing into Thursday as that front moves across the Adelaide area. So cloud increasing on Wednesday, winds increasing, and then some showers possible overnight. But a little bit warmer with those winds increasing, 17 degrees for Wednesday, and then showers on Thursday, probably our wettest day out of the next week or so, I think, on Thursday. Possibly even a rumble of thunder and a flash of lightning on Thursday as well. 15 degrees the maximum for Thursday, and windy conditions as well that day. Friday, Saturday and Sunday, showers are possible each day. Windy conditions on Saturday as another front moves across and temperatures struggling to get much more than 15 degrees or so. So after today and tomorrow, a real return to winter, Lucy.
Great. Simon, my favourite time of year. Thank you very much as I sit here in my puffer jacket 100% of the time. Thank you, Simon Timke there on the Bureau, delivering good news to the farmers and the gardeners and bad news for people who strongly dislike winter, such as myself. Anyway, let's go across to SAPOL Senior Constable Jen Cullinan's on the line. Morning, Jen.
Good morning, Lucy and Tom.
A man's been arrested in the city overnight.
Yes, and this was about 12:15 this morning. Police were called to Twin Street after a male was seen to be attempting to pick a lock at the rear of a loading bay. When police arrived, they found the man in possession of a screwdriver and a steel mallet. So a 37-year-old man from Adelaide has been arrested and he's been charged with going equipped. He's had his bail refused and will go to court today.
And there's also a stolen car that was on fire at Nailsworth as well, Jen.
Yeah, and this was just before 2:30 this morning. Police and MFS were called to Harvey Street after reports of a car on fire, and the Toyota Hilux was fully engulfed in flames when patrols arrived, but it was quickly extinguished by fire crews. Now, checks revealed the car had actually been stolen from Greenwith on the 21st of June. So we're just asking anybody with information to please call Crime Stoppers 1800 333 000.
And Jen, we've been talking cars this morning and what's your first car? Lucy and I both revealed ours. Can you remember what your first car was?
Oh, it was a blue Ford Escort,
Oh.
which might mean nothing to people in Australia, but the English people are listening. Yeah, it was a Ford Escort and I was 18.
Oh, wow.
Jen, more importantly, what kind of blue was it? Was it that cool sort of electric type blue or a safe navy?
It was police blue.
Yeah, oh, wow.
Of course, Lucy, police blue.
Written in the stars.
And Jen, I've got to ask, with everything that's been happening with the Ashes, you're obviously out here in Australia now, but have you been copying it from some of your colleagues about what's been going on?
Oh, not really, because they would know better
Yeah.
than to start doing things like that.
Yeah.
But also, I don't really follow the cricket.
Okay.
And like I say to people in England, it says Australia on my passport now.
Yeah, exactly. You're one of us.
I know where my loyalties lie.
Yeah, I love that.
We're
Thanks so much, Jen.
Pleased to hear it. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, guys.
Jen's also very quick-witted, so I'm sure if
Yeah.
they did try to come at her with a cricket banter, she'd put them in their place
Yeah,
pretty quickly,
exactly.
I would imagine.
Cheeky little sledge, which is the cricket terminology.
That's right. At least she's not having a whinge like the rest of the Poms, it seems, at the moment.
Good, Lucy.
We move now to cars, and very exciting to have a chat about this. We love it when publications go great guns in Australia, and this one's celebrating their 70th anniversary. It is Wheels magazine. We welcome editor Andy Enright to the show. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Happy 70th anniversary to you.
Thank you. Looking good for it.
Yeah. Now, you, as a special release for this year, you're putting out 3 magazines, a 3-parter series, I guess you could say, celebrating both the past, the present, and future of our automotive industry. Now, I note the second issue came out yesterday. What are in these 3 issues? Andy?
Hello?
Oh, yep, we've got you, Andy.
Sorry,
we
you
just lost you there for a moment.
Sorry, you just broke up, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just asking, what are in the 3-part series of the magazines?
Oh, well, we themed them past, present and future. We wanted to do something a little bit different to the normal retrospective that we've done on our 50th and our 40th. And we decided to go with a trilogy for the readers to collect. And it's looking really strong. We've got some really, really good feedback from our readers on that one.
The issue that came out yesterday celebrates the present of the automotive industry. What kind of cars have you highlighted in the present issue?
Oh, it's absolutely stacked with cars. We got 4 big head-to-heads on the cover. We got the Volkswagen Amarok against the Ford Ranger, 2 really, really popular dual cab utes, which are a big part of our market. We got the Maserati Grecale and the Porsche Macan, which are a couple of sports SUVs. Hyundai Ioniq 6 versus the Tesla Model 3. These are 2 of the most talked about electric cars at the moment. And we also had a little bit of an indulgence with the Honda Civic Type R and the Porsche Cayman GT4 RS, which are just brilliant performance cars. People who think that the great days are behind us, no. Those are as good as it gets.
And 70 years is a fantastic achievement for a publication. How do you think you've been able to stay ahead of the curve and stayed relevant with everything that's been going on with regards to changing media, etc.? But 70 years is quite the accomplishment.
It is. And the world has changed a lot since 1953. I sat down and tried to write my editor's column last month, and I came to realise that in 1953 we hadn't discovered DNA. We didn't know what plate tectonics were. It was a completely different world. And if you fast forward to today, we were a magazine business. We were rooted in print publishing, and it's been Wheels' challenge to adapt to a very different world. And fortunately, the readership for Wheels now is bigger than it's ever been, which we really can't complain about at all.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Andy, you talk about adapting, and you mentioned Tesla. The way of the future, of course, is electric cars, and what else is possibly the next big thing? In your mind, what is the next big thing for our automotive industry?
Well, that's something that a lot of manufacturers are really scratching their heads about. there are people who are a lot cleverer than I am, who are working at big manufacturers like Toyota and Ford, who are actually hedging their bets a little bit. And a lot of that is due to the fact that, you know, the major markets where we get our cars from are banning internal combustion engines, as you probably know. Germany's looking at 2030, China, Italy, UK, France, USA, Japan, 2035. And that kind of means that if you've got a 5-year development cycle for a car and a 7-year on sale, that's 12 years overall. It means if they haven't started developing a car by about now, they're not going to make their money on it. So their arm is being forced. And at the moment, that's either in the direction of pure EVs, which most manufacturers are looking at, or in Japan, that 2035 ban just applies to non-hybrids. So Japan can still build an internal combustion engine hybrid car. So everything's happening at slightly different speeds. We don't have any ICE ban here. We're one of the largest countries in the world not to have one. I think Russia and Brazil might be the other biggies. But at first, when that was a political reality, I was wondering, oh, you know, not really moving the agenda on. But as we draw closer to those dates, you see a lot of these countries and a lot of the automotive industries within these countries starting to get very, very nervous about it.
That's right, and the future isn't far away at all, is it? I mean, tomorrow is very quickly the present. I just wanted
really quick
to highlight before we let you go, Andy. Have you put together a top 7 cars? Is that something else you've also done for your 70th?
What we were looking at were 7 different categories of cars: sedans, sports cars, 4x4s and SUVs, utes and pickups, small cars, hot hatches and supercars. And we were just picking out the 10 cars that were most iconic, that broke ground and really changed the game over the last 70 years in each of those 7 categories. So yeah, we picked one from each.
What's your top sedan? I feel like a lot of our listeners would have had a sedan in their life or currently do. It's sort of the ultimate original family car. What's the top one?
The top one, there was a bit of arguing about this, but we came down with the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, and it's quite an elitist car, but throughout its history, I don't think any car has done more for safety and pushing engineering than the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. The things that arrive on the S-Class, like airbags, active safety, collision protection, ABS braking, electronic stability control, they filter down into cheaper cars, more affordable cars throughout the years. So the things that you see in an S-Class now, they'll be in your family hatch in 3 years, 5 years' time.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? And have you got a favourite, or have your readers had a favourite over the years that stood the test of time?
That's a big question.
We're a pretty broad church here at Wheels. The readers do love a hot Holden or a Ford. They still do. And we've definitely taken a nod to that. We got the Falcon GTHO and the Holden Ute in there, and also the hardy perennial Toyotas, Land Cruiser and Hilux are also massive favourites amongst our readers. We've recognised the contribution of those cars as well.
Andy, thank you so much for your time this morning. Andy Enright, the editor of Wheels magazine, celebrating their 70th anniversary. They've got a 3-part magazine series. You can buy issue number 2 of the 3-parter. The next one will be out at the end of July. But if we want to hear from you folks, your favourite or your first car, 8223 0000. We'll take some more of your calls after the 7 o'clock news.
In tough times, it's the simple things that make a big difference. Like $17 schnitzel days at the Albion Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior and the Lighthouse Wharf. We know the humble schnitty can't fix all our problems, but we do know it'll put a smile on your dial. $17 schnitties Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the Albion Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior and the Lighthouse Wharf. Making the world a better place, one schnitty at a time. Got to start somewhere. You just know it's a Barreau hotel.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the team at Lynn Andrews Real Estate have made it easy to manage residential and commercial property. Whether you own a single residential home or multiple commercial properties, Our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge to share. How to invest safely and properly. Matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
If you're in the market for a new car, you've got to put the new Cherry Emotive 5 from Cherry Glen Osmond on your list. It's ready for immediate delivery. They also have low mileage demo models ready for immediate delivery too. From just $33,000 drive away, even less for a demo, the Cherry Emotive 5 has the sort of features you'd expect to find in a car 3 times its price. Heated seats, remote engine start, 360-degree camera, parking sensors, the list goes on. Visit gocherry.com.au or call into Cherry Glen Osmond next to Formula Honda.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 15 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Complete windscreen supply and fit, front, rear and door glass. Proudly South Australian since 1976.
Advocates say more needs to be done to help people struggling financially as the Reserve Bank weighs up another interest rate rise. A survey by Suicide Prevention Australia shows many people don't believe the federal government's cost of living relief measures are making a difference. Chief Executive Nevis Murray says it's a call to action to make sure support services are adequately resourced.
To ensure that people at the highest risk of crisis are well supported. You know, we understand and appreciate that some of these initiatives take time to filter through to a positive impact in the community, but unfortunately our community is feeling that distress now.
A scare for a bus driver and passengers in the northern suburbs. Mel Usher has details.
Charges have been laid after a man allegedly assaulted a bus driver and 2 police officers. SAPOL were called to the Elizabeth Railway Station bus interchange around 3:45 yesterday afternoon following reports a driver had been attacked. Other passengers came to the assistance of the driver, who sustained minor injuries. It's alleged a 32-year-old man from Nurayutpa also assaulted 2 police officers, including spitting on one of the officers. They were not injured. The charges are 2 counts of assault police and 1 count of aggravated assault.
A man's been arrested in the city overnight. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says he was allegedly trying to pick a lock at a loading bay in Twin Street.
When police arrived, they found the man in possession of a screwdriver and a steel mallet. So a 37-year-old man from Adelaide has been arrested and he's been charged with going equipped. He's had his bail refused and will go to court today.
Skeletal remains are being forensically examined after they were found in a burnt-out car in Sydney's south. Firefighters put out the blaze in the four-wheel drive in the Waterfall Flat car park. They found the remains inside and notified police. City dwellers fed up with the rising cost of living are being urged to look to the regions for a career change. The Regional Australia Institute has launched a recruitment drive to fill 91,000 jobs, equating to $1.7 billion in untapped wages. Spokeswoman Loretta Wallace says there are dozens of rewarding, well-paid positions ready for people eager to move.
GPs, nurses, aged care professionals, childcare professionals, but certainly we need engineers, we need architects, we need builders, plumbers, electricians, graphic designers. There is a job for everybody, for every skill set right now in regional Australia.
The federal government's pushing for more Australians to learn Indonesian as both countries forge closer ties. President Joko Widodo's in Sydney for key talks with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. The pair will focus on the economy and regional security, but lifting education ties and clean energy investment is also on the agenda. Ukraine's president is questioning Vladimir Putin's hold on Russia a week after a failed rebellion. There are claims as many as half the Russian population support the Wagner boss and paramilitary group's mutiny. Volodymyr Zelensky's told CNN it's clear President Putin's losing control of his own people.
We see Putin's reaction. It's weak. Putin doesn't control the situation in the regions. He doesn't control the security situation. All that vertical of power he used to have just got crumbling down.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
Here's Jono Edwards.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's head straight to tennis. And Jordan Thompson has come away from a 2 sets down to beat Brandon Nakashima in the first round at Wimbledon.
First match on Monday, 11 o'clock, and I've gone down 2-6, 2-6 to start. It wasn't pleasing, but yeah, I thought they needed change, and I did everything I could to change them.
Fellow Australian Alex Vurick also won the opening day, beating Daniel Aldemir in 4 sets. Max Purcell and Storm Hunter are out in the first round, and Novak Djokovic recorded his 29th consecutive match win. To cycling, and Britain's Adam Yates retains the yellow jersey after stage 3 of the Tour de France. It was still led by Jasper Philipsen. Nathan Lyon has been ruled out of the remainder of the Ashes series due to a significant calf tear. No replacement has been added to Australia's squad yet, but coach Andrew McDonald has hinted off-spinner Todd Murphy is almost certain to replace Lyon for the 3rd test starting on Thursday.
Todd's pretty well placed. We like to have a spinner in our attack. It gives us a different balance. Short turnaround, we'll assess where everyone's at, and then clearly we'll assess the surface and the weather conditions up there.
Over to Melbourne, and Andrew McVolter is determined to win the Richmond senior coaching job on a full-time basis. The Tigers' interim coach has largely impressed since stepping in for Damien Hardwick in May. He's told Fox Footy last week's 81-point loss to Brisbane shouldn't hurt his prospects.
The month prior, we'd had a pretty good month of footy, so it was a bad game of football that we played against Brisbane on the weekend, and you sort of look at our results over the last pretty long period of time. We haven't really had a game like that, so we're hoping it was more just an anomaly, an off game. We need to get better, we're aware of that, but we're expecting to bounce back this week.
And finally in baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers have defeated the Chicago Cubs 8-6. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now I'm checking 5AA traffic.
Planning a function? Speak to the Adelaide Convention Centre team to elevate your vision for your next event.
Good morning. At Enfield, got a 2-car smash on Regency Road and Main North Road. Colorado Valley, burst water main slowing things up there. Main Road near Ackland Hill Road, she's down to 40. And Urbray, another burst water main. This one, Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Slow at the moment, South Road at Edwardstown with cameras Eastern Parade Gilman and Elizabeth Way at Elizabeth. Feel like a coffee? Enjoy a freshly ground barista-made quality coffee from OTR. Order on the OTR app and it's as easy as click and collect. OTR. Making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Partly cloudy, a high of 15 today, a late shower or two tomorrow, 17, and then showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 15. At the moment, 8. More news as it happens on 5AA.
This month, all kids 14 and under get to go to the footy for free.
What about that?
That's all games between rounds 16 and 19 of the 2023 Toyota AFL Premiership season. From selfies to screamers and tasty treats.
Spectacular!
Make it an awesome day for the family with a day out at the footy. Kids go free rounds 16 to 19.
Boy, oh boy, wow,
Go to afl.com.au/kids month. Terms and conditions apply, subject to capacity and availability.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
Will be coming out this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a big day for a lot of homeowners
Talking
out
money.
there and a lot of people looking to get into the market. Costs of living at the moment have been a big talking point for the last 12, 18 months. We've had 12 interest rate rises in the last 14 months, Lucy, and the experts, they're split at the moment. Most people can't really decide whether it's going to go up or it's going to stay the same, but we'll find out around lunchtime today what the Reserve Bank of Australia is set to do.
Well, let's start there for our morning wrap of the week. Rennie, you're right. It'll be if it does rise, it'll be the 13th time since May last year. There's a lot of conflicting economic issues. Of course, inflation went down last week, so the inflation is moderating, but other data does reveal a rebound in the property sector, an increase in lending. Well-known mortgage broker Mark Boris, he's done a lot of media about a lot of finance things, and especially prevalent with rates rising. He was on Sydney Radio this morning, and he says, obviously, households are hurting.
Unfortunately, I don't believe mortgage holders are the ones that are spending all the money. Because the mortgage holders are the ones who, and borrowers, business borrowers as well, they're the ones who are copping all the heat. So I don't really think it's a very fair outcome right now where we sit.
We will chat with Phil Curry at 7:30 about his thoughts on the interest rates outcome this afternoon.
And a lot of pressure as well on Philip Lowe. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. Yeah, it's this fine balance of, getting everything right, inflation, growth, trying to make sure the country doesn't go into recession. It's tricky juggling, all the different weights and all the pressures, and then you get the, social pressures as well, and people that are under strife financially. So tough decision. Wouldn't want to be in his shoes, but looking forward to having a chat with Phil Coorey to see if he can get his crystal ball and perhaps give us a prediction of what might happen.
Of course, with households copping the extra rate rises, falling behind on other bills to pay a lot of loans. But in good news, some info out this morning, the price of petrol has dropped from the mid-2022 peak petrol average. So over the last 12 months, petrol has dropped on the whole. Melbourne has seen the biggest price drop out of all the capital cities. That was 55 cents on average. Here in Adelaide, it was 37.7 cents we've dropped. Darwin saw the smallest drop. They were only 33.8 cents drop in petrol.
It's one of those things, isn't it, Lucy? It's amazing what I spend money on and waste money on. It's frightening at times, I think. But petrol, I will always try and shop around and find the best possible deal. I hate paying, in that $1.90 region. I'll go right on the light and down to almost zero petrol, hoping that it will drop down to, $1.60-ish.
That's right. And for some who can only fill up $20 or $30 at a time just to get through, that's societally acceptable these days, because it's where do you spend your money? Do you spend it on an extra loaf of bread, for example, or do you put a few extra dollars in your car? And things like the RAA free fuel app, that's a good one to check on as well. And we'll do our fuel watch thanks to the RAA a little bit later in the morning. Good. Let's do an update of the Paris protest. So it is day 6. They have entered protests. As of today in Paris, more than 3,000 people have been arrested. More than 2,000 cars have been burned. More than 700 businesses have been damaged. More than 350 buildings on the whole have been damaged. So day 6, the protest was started after 17-year-old Nail was murdered point blank. Well, I shouldn't say murdered. Shot point blank by a police officer while he was sitting in his car at 8 o'clock in the morning, allegedly joyriding without a licence, hadn't had any prior criminal convictions. He is of Algerian descent. It was in a town in the northwest of Paris. The French are rioting because they believe the French police are racist. Secularism, known as laïcité in French, it is a key foundation of the French culture, which basically upholds equality of all markers of different, which includes race. So the French are outraged that a policeman just decided to shoot someone point blank for no apparent genuine reason.
And we had a call yesterday, didn't we? Someone saying that they feel that this has been something that has been bubbling on the surface for, a number of years, and that this was the fire starter, if you like, or the catalyst to all of these protests. And, we've seen the images, Lucy, and they have been sustained protests, haven't they? There's a lot of anger over there, and it's spilling onto the streets. And I think something like 45,000 police have been deployed to try and, curtail and try and, get this situation under control. But it's ongoing, and there's obviously a lot of social issues in the underbelly of France at the moment, which are coming to the fore. So a horrible incident that has happened, and it's just sparked this massive outrage across the country.
Here is French Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne.
Evidently, an act like this is particularly shocking, and I said to the mayor I would support him and make sure nothing like this ever happens again. We will formulate as strong a response as possible on behalf of justice, but also listen to the evidence and the circumstance.
That was her response with the mayor in a town in the south in the south of Paris, a car was purposely driven into his house in the middle of the night, and the attackers broke his wife's leg and tried to set his house on fire. So now they're targeting people of authority in premeditated attacks and doing a lot more damage than you probably think. There's a question here on the CNN article I've just got up. Is it safe to travel to France? It is peak summer over there. People heading to Wimbledon, people have just been to Roland Garros, etc. This time next year it will be the Paris Olympics.
Exactly, which is going to be huge. I mean, it's 100 years since they had the Olympics, Lucy, in 1924. We have those famous stories like the Chariots of Fire, I think, Eric Liddell, that great movie. There were some amazing things that happened there, but that's right. A lot of people will be asking that question with everything going on there at the moment. What's security going to be like for this massive intake of people that are going to be coming in, and the global spotlight is going to be on France this time in 12 months.
So if you are headed to France, keep an eye out on public transport, including buses and tramways, metro systems. They're likely to shut down earlier in the night ahead of protests, because a lot of them are taking place at night. So just check if you are going to specific towns or cities, check on public transport. Otherwise, there should be no issues with the Eurostar service, which connects London, Lille and Paris. So just if you are heading to France, lucky you, enjoy, but be safe and check for any updates. Something on 9 News last night and is out this morning. Australia is experiencing a shortage of more than 400 medicines, including at least 50 antibiotics, according to fresh records from the Therapeutic Goods Administration. We've heard in the past about medicines being in shortage, antibiotics that people need day to day for simple infections or simple things like that, such as amoxicillin, that is currently in shortage, the diabetes drug Ozempic, which is also used for weight loss, and another one, oxytocin, which is regularly used. There are a few of the medicines on that 400-long list. Manufacturing issues and unexpected high demand have led to the shortage. Some are expected to be in short supply until the end of the year. That's another 6 months where you might not be able to get your regular antibiotic. If you are worried about what medicines you use, if you search on the TGA website, you can see the full list of those in shortage, and you can see if your medication is running low.
Well, it's probably the worst time of the year as well, isn't it, Lucy? You know, middle of winter, cold days, cold nights as well, lots of rain around, and it's the time where everything seems to get passed around. You know, you know of someone at work that's got a bit of a bug or a cough or a sneeze, and it spreads like wildfire. So, you know, that's an issue as well, you know, which exacerbates this issue at the moment of, I think, some 409 shortages in antibiotics and other various drugs. So, yeah, people are just going to have to be patient or go and see their GP and hopefully try and find an alternative.
A couple of texts coming in on the Duttons text line, Rennie. One here I can actually relate to. We were chatting about border security. Our 11-year-old son sneakily packed his teddy wheat bag in his suitcase to America a few years ago. We travelled through many airports, and it wasn't until we came back through Sydney that we all discovered Ted with the customs officer. She spoke sternly to my son, shook out the wheat, threatened to bring Border Force over, who were filming around the corner, and then kindly gave the rest of the teddy back to my son. What a few minutes. I had that exact same thing. My favourite teddy as a kid had a wheat bag as its belly. You take out the wheat bag, put it in the microwave, put it back in, give it a cuddle, go to bed hunky-dory. But yeah, at the airport we didn't realise. We came back from the UK and they were not impressed.
Really?
Not impressed.
Did they confiscate the teddy or?
No, I think they saw that as an 8-year-old girl and my parents, who were both working teachers, coming home, we didn't pose much of an importation threat, of course.
Are your parents both teachers as well, are they?
Yeah, Mum's kindy teacher and Dad's now retired, but he was a primary school teacher.
Yeah, my parents were both high school teachers. There you go.
Get all 4 of our parents in a room, Brenny, and they can make up a full schooling system.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They'd have some tales to tell for sure.
That is the Duttons text line. Thanks to Duttons, 3 dealerships and 10 franchises in the Adelaide Hills and Murray Bridge. Duttons, easy to do business with. That number is 0448 08 1395. We'd love to hear from you this morning. And we were chatting about old cars. This one from Scott. My first car that was used, I took delivery on my 18th birthday. Prior to that, I used older cars, but the awesome car was a 74 HJ Holden Premium 5.0 litre with turbo 400.
There you go. See, you know what? When it comes to car lingo, you just lost me there. I had
no
idea.
Myself.
Yeah, no idea what you were talking about, but I respect it. I appreciate it. But that's like gobbledygook to me.
Thank you, Scott, with his Burgundy 74 HJ Holden. Thank you, Scott. Let's check traffic for your run in this morning. After the break, we're chatting about the Moulin Rouge.
Thanks, Lucy. You got a 2-car smash to look out for at Enfield this morning. It's on Regency Road at Main North Road. Pretty solid delays there at the moment to avoid if you can on the way to work. FIVEAA Watermain's about. You'll find one Coromandel Valley, Main Road near Ackland Hill Road. She's down to 40 there. And got another one at Urbray, Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Getting busy, South Road at Edwardstown with the camera at Days Road at Croydon Park. At Big W's Big Whopping Toy Sale, 500 of your favourite toys are on sale. From Transformers to Barbie and Lego. Don't miss Big W's Big Whopping Toy Sale on now. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
My son went for his driving test for the second time. In his first test, the examiner wanted him to make a right-hand turn. My son asked if he could make it further down the road, and that was okay. In the second, same scenario, the instructor viewed it as failing the test.
Weekday mornings from 9.
Where's the consistency? Because that error, which is what it is, has cost me $330.
On 13.95, Adelaide's FIVEAA.
If you've got to keep it cool, you need Budget Car and Truck Rentals, especially if you're in business. Budget Car and Truck Rentals have a fleet of refrigerated vans, trucks and cool rooms standing by to keep your business in business. Transporting or storing flowers, chocolate and all fresh produces. Keep it cool in a refrigerated van, truck or cool room from Budget Car and Truck Rentals. Oh, great for parties too. Call 13 27 27. That's 13 27 27.
This is it. You have just 2 days until the absolute final deadline in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. It could be you winning the $4 million Scott Salisbury Grand Prize and living the good life. With over 13,000 prizes, you have a 1 in 15 chance of winning. But hurry, you've only got 2 days to join the fight and get your tickets. See full lottery details at homelottery.com.au.
Licence M14364.
What's the best thing about winter? Definitely the Bob Burns Blinds Winter Warmer Special. Get super cozy with up to 40% off. That's up to 40% off our entire range of curtains and blinds, including our energy-efficient window coverings. With Bob Burns Blinds, you'll get that quality show home look, and you'll save money on energy bills by trapping the heat in your home. Get set for winter now with the Bob Burns Blinds Winter Warmer Special. Book your free measure and quote at bobburnsblinds.com.au.
G'day. It's Baz from Fleurieu Milk Company. South Australian dairy farmers are doing it tough right now, but at Fleurieu Milk we always look after our own, and you can too. When you reach for milk, reach for Fleurieu Milk and help support our hard-working South Australian dairy farmers and their families. Because right now, they need our help. 3 words make all the difference. Fleurieu Milk Company. South Australian first and proud of it.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
5AA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Lucy Lokan.
The Cherry Motor 5. State-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
7:22, it is Tom and Lucy in the chairs for Brekkie all this week. David and Will on their mid-year break, as is John Blake and Jade Robran, but Matthew Pantelis is here after 9, and the sports show we'll hear from shortly. That is Warren Treadray and Sam Tugwell all this week from 4 p.m. But I'm excited to talk about this. We mentioned last week that the Moulin Rouge auditions are coming to Australia, and they are in fact in Adelaide today. Of course, you need to be a professionally trained dancer with certain height requirements to audition for the French cabaret. It is historic. But we were contacted last week by a woman by the name of Yvonne, whose daughter went through the Adelaide audition process and ended up at the Moulin Rouge in Paris for 3 years. And Yvonne has joined us this morning. Good morning, Yvonne.
Hello, Lucy. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Yvonne. Tell us about that experience. I love Moulin Rouge. I've been over to France to see it over there and absolutely adore the movie. But that experience, that's incredible, Yvonne.
Yes, it was. It was a wonderful time for all of that to happen. My daughter was doing full-time dance in Melbourne. Actually, she'd already gone over to Melbourne, but she was classically trained in Adelaide, and had been dancing since a very young age, decided to want to make a full-time profession out of it. So she actually auditioned on the eastern borders of Australia. I'm not sure if they were coming out to Adelaide back then.
How many times did you get over and see it, Yvonne, if at all? Did you manage to go to the Moulin Rouge?
Yes.
While she was performing?
Yes, yes. It prompted us to travel a lot sooner than we expected.
Yeah.
Hence, when she went over there. So we got to see her a couple of times doing the show.
What's the nighttime routine for performance? They obviously start late in the evening and go right through to early hours of the morning. It's a bizarre routine.
Yes, it is. It's a while ago now, but there was like a dinner show, and then the second show started about 9 o'clock, I think, something like that. Mm. So there was a little break in between, but they seemingly got used to it. It was after three or so years, that's what you do every day.
Well, yeah, it becomes a part of the sort of routine, doesn't it? But just for those that are thinking, oh, that sounds like an amazing experience, what kind of training? I mean, obviously your daughter was, classically trained in dancing. How exhaustive is the process to even be able to get there to be good enough to do it?
There was a process, but given that they're auditioning in Adelaide now, her background, like I said, was ballet, predominantly ballet, and then from that she did jazz and tap, but it was predominantly classical training. So they just went through routines, and there was a number of girls that auditioned, and then from there she was chosen, and they Moulin Rouge organised all the paperwork and visas and all that for you to get over there, and we had to do the rest. Which was fine because my daughter was well and truly ready to go.
Well, thank you so much for contacting us, Yvonne. I know I loved seeing FIVEAA. It's 2 hours of incredibleness, really. 1,000 costumes of feathers, rhinestones and sequins. The amount of glitter that I'm sure your daughter found in her hair or costumes later over the 3 years would have been immense.
The hair got a beating.
Yeah.
So, but it was a wonderful experience.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, Yvonne, and for texting us last week.
Yeah, what an opportunity.
If you do get to Paris, and of course staying safe with all the riots at the moment, and you can find yourself at Moulin Rouge, there will be a number of Aussies who are in the performance troupe, which I just think is excellent for the Australian performing arts. We don't hear a lot about our really classically trained dancers, but to go over and perform at something as historic as the Moulin Rouge is really special.
And those auditions, for those wondering, are open today from 1 o'clock at the Adelaide College of the Arts in Light Square.
Let's get to a different type of sport now. The sports show all this week is Warren Treadrace Sam Tugwell, $17 schnitty, Monday to Wednesday at the Albion, Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior and Lighthouse Wharf. You just know it's a barrow. They spoke with Chad Corns, of course, coaching at Port Adelaide, about the mindset of the Port players given some of their close wins.
Now you've won 6 by under 10 points, 7 by under 14 points. What is it within this group that they still believe, even though sometimes it might be slipping away?
Yeah, I think Kenny spoke about it after the game, and what he said is right. Like, it's hard to describe exactly what it is. Like, we do a lot of training on scenarios, so the boys are really well drilled in those moments of what they need to do, but it's more, I don't know, it's just more of a feeling within that group that no matter how far we're down, we're always in it, and there's a mindset that we'll come back, no matter the margin. We'll come back, and when you go down and talk to the boys during breaks, no matter how they've gone individually or as a line group or as a team, the attitude is, we're right, we've got this, just leave it with us. So it's a great feeling to have, that we've been in those teams where, you can be down, but there's full belief that you'll get back in the game, and by the end you'll be on top, and that's the feeling we have at the moment.
Which is amazing. They've been so sensational at being able to do it. 12 wins in a row, Lucy. And it begs the question, what's going to happen with Ken Hinkley? We know David Koch, who's a regular here on the show, has been very adamant that they're going to put contract talks off until August. Well, Caroline Wilson was on Nine's Footy Classified last night talking about Ken Hinkley's future.
My belief is that he'll be signed, and you're of the same. So he's out of the equation. He'll stay at
Ken
Port.
Hinkley will be, that announcement will come, well, it could even come in a few weeks. It'll certainly come by August, which is what the club promised. Ken Hinkley is very comfortable at Port Adelaide, and Port Adelaide are very comfortable at Port.
And it's hard to see anything else other than that happening, given they're 13-2. Finals, of course, will be important, but the club is going beautifully at the moment. Just as we wrap up a bit of sport as well, Lucy, someone texted in on the Duttons text line and mentioned Shane van Gisbergen winning the Chicago NASCAR street race yesterday, winning on debut, the first to do so in 60 years. He's an Aussie, well, a New Zealand-born Aussie anyway, but fabulous achievement from him. So really well done. And in the tennis, we had a couple of losses overnight, but Alexander Vukic and Jordan Thompson both winning through to the second round. So nice to see a couple of wins.
Shane van Gisbergen is 5AA Breakfast's favourite car racer. Forgive my terrible knowledge of car racing. He came in actually last year ahead of the Velo 500, so we're fully on board with Shane winning the
Very good
NASCAR
driver.
Chicago street race yesterday. Coming up after 7:30, we'll chat with Phil Curry in Canberra.
Amongst the euphoria and upheaval of the late 60s, the Beatles released a masterpiece, The White Album. Chris Cheney, Phil Jamieson, Josh Pike and Tim Rogers joined 17 musicians to perform it live. The White Album Concert, Festival Theatre, Friday, September 8. On sale Friday. Book at Ticketek.
Well, we've been talking about it a lot this morning, Luce. The economy is tough and businesses are facing plenty of challenges. Everywhere you look, forecasts are down and budgets, well, they're up. And tomorrow, across Adelaide, some businesses won't have milk in the staff kitchen.
Now more than ever, employees do need the relief and reassurance that a cup of tea or an instant coffee provides. So Adelaide Milk Service are more than a service, it is a necessity.
There are some providers out there, but they might just dump and run. Now, Adelaide Milk Service will come to your workplace and personally stock and sort your milk. Their list of happy clients includes small retail shops right through to big government departments.
So avoid all office disasters and get your office milk, dairy and fruit delivered with Adelaide Milk Service. Go to adelaideMilkService.com.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 15 with the 7:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
House prices aren't expected to fall if interest rates are increased again by the Reserve Bank. The number of properties for sale is about 20% lower than this time last year, while construction of new homes continues to lag. Many economists are predicting interest rates to rise this afternoon for the 13th time since May last year. Ray White, chief economist Nerida Conisbee, says while supply tightens, demand continues to grow.
Victoria's population increased by 130,000 people last year, so obviously all those people do need homes. We've got a construction crisis, so there's fewer homes being built, which also restricts the supply. We've also got a lot of very wealthy people moving to Australia.
A new survey shows a growing number of us are skipping household bills to pay down debt from buy now, pay later schemes. The research from Finder shows 32% of people who use the services have missed another bill to meet repayments. Around 11% have gone without a meal. A crime scene has been set up in Sydney's south where remains have been found inside a burnt-out car. Gabrielle Boyle's there.
Police, paramedics and fire crews were called to a car park in Bushland at Waterfall in Sydney's south just after midnight. When they arrived at the scene, they found a Toyota RAV4 well alight. After extinguishing the blaze, skeletal remains were found in the rear of the car. A crime scene has been established and investigations are underway.
A car has gone up in flames at Nailsworth this morning. Fire crews were called to Harvey Street around 2:30. The Toyota Hilux had been stolen from Greenworth last month. Some more pain for travellers commuting through Sydney Airport today. Thick fog is blanketing the city this morning, causing some flights to be delayed. The advice is to double-check your flight status before heading to the airport and arrive early. There's been a double win for the river regions as they continue to recover from the flooding crisis earlier this year. More than $3.1 million has been injected into the Murray, Lakes and Coorong economies thanks to the first round of the state government's river revival vouchers. Tourism Minister Zoe Bettison says round two's already generated a huge amount of bookings too.
We've already got 2,200 bookings from round two, which is about 2 million of bookings made already. People are really excited, particularly about the opportunity for houseboat vouchers, and we're seeing them really enjoying that opportunity.
Moulin Rouge auditions are happening in the city today. The team from France will be at the Adelaide College of the Arts in Light Square from 1 p.m. They're looking for dancers with strong classical training who also have personality and charisma and the ability to learn choreography. Associate Artistic Director of the Moulin Rouge, Janet Farrow, says they find a lot of great dancers here.
You have tall ladies, healthy and sportive, lots of energy. Also, you have a lot of dance schools and very good dance schools.
Turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
Here's Jono Edwards.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's kick it off with tennis. An Australian tennis player, Jordan Thompson, said he'll be asking Nick Kyrgios for advice after setting up a second-round showdown with Novak Djokovic at Wimbledon. Thompson clawed his way back from 2 sets down to beat Brandon Nakashima. He's now on a collision course with the defending champion.
As silly as it sounds, I've got to believe that I can win, otherwise there is no point going out there. I know the odds are firmly against me, but yeah, I just got to go out and enjoy it and just have fun. I mean, it's not every day you play Novak at Wimbledon.
In the Tour de France, British cyclist Adam Yates retains the yellow jersey after stage 3 of the Tour de France. And this morning there are suggestions Stuart Dew's days at the Gold Coast are numbered despite being contracted next year. Veteran journalist Caroline Wilson telling Footy Classified she expects Dew to make way for a triple premiership coach.
My firm belief is that a decision will be made within the next few weeks, or certainly by the end of the season, but I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen by the end of July. And my equally firm view is that Damien Hardwick will ultimately be the coach of the Gold Coast Suns, and that if there is a caretaker appointed at this stage, it looks like being Stephen King.
And finally, Crows midfielder Luke Pedlar is the AFL's Round 16 Rising Star nominee, recognised for his role in the win over North Melbourne.
Sort of tried to be as consistent as possible, and that means kicking a goal here and there, just playing my role. That's sort of what I've tried to model my game off this year. It's nice to get a bit of recognition.
And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Planning a function? Speak to the Adelaide Convention Centre team to elevate your vision for your next event.
Got a crash at Enfield to look out for this morning. 2 cars involved in that one. It's at the intersection of Main North Road and Regency Road. Pretty solid delays too. Burst water main at Urbray. That's at Glen Osmond Road, just out the bottom of the freeway, causing delays as we speak. Quite busy right now. South Road at Edwardstown. And look out for cameras parked to Brahma Lodge and Eastern Parade at Gilman. KFC's Christmas in July means 11 days of deals on the KFC app between 3 and 5 p.m. daily till July 11. Ho, ho, hop on the KFC app. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Partly cloudy, a high of 15 today, a late shower or two tomorrow, 17, and then showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 15. At the moment, 8. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Over 60,000 Adelaide homes have said yes to saving money on their energy bills with Yes, your energy saving solutions. What's keeping you? Did you know that you might be eligible for a rebate on a new appliance like a dryer or fridge? You might even qualify for a purchase you've already made. Just visit the Yes website for a list of appliances and the size of the cashback available. For T's and C's on this unbeatable offer from your energy saving solutions, go to yes.net.au. That's yes.net.au.
Afternoon Aldi shoppers, this is a message for Kate Hassler in aisle 3. Hey, we know you see other supermarkets.
What? You do?
Yeah, it's cool. Really. Go get that smoked herring paste next door.
You're just saying that.
Nah, I mean it. But you'll save more if you shop at Aldi first.
You'll always be my first shop.
We love you.
What about me?
We love you too, Pete. Aldi. Good. Different.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
5AA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Lucy Lokan.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
You can jump on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook live stream all morning. Someone has commented they're watching from Geneva. Craig. Hello, Craig, watching along from Geneva. Welcome to 5AA Breakfast. It is 7:38. The sun has come up. Another grey start to the day here in Adelaide. Coming up later in the show, Dr. Colin Mendelsohn with his thoughts around vaping, and Terry Schutz from the CFS, one of the SA volunteers who's just returned from fighting the wildfires in Canberra. But now we are chatting about money, our 7 o'clock music bed. Money, money, money. Poorly timed, some might think. Aside from being a completely uplifting, great song with a great backing track behind it.
Can't knock ABBA.
It is the theme of the day. The RBA will hold its July meeting later this afternoon. They will release whether the interest rate will, the cash rate rather, will increase or they will pause it. Mortgage owners have been hit in the space of 1 year with a 400 basis point hike. The Commonwealth Bank believes that a pause today might be likely, which therefore would keep the interest rate at 4.1%. However, I think the other three big banks are forecasting an increase. We welcome to the show Phil Curry, political editor of the Oz Financial Review. Morning, Phil.
Good morning, Lucy.
What are your thoughts? What are you feeling out of Canberra with rates today?
My hunch is they will pause. Well, as you said in your introduction, I think everyone's a bit divided over which way. We saw last week the release of a monthly inflation number, which is a very volatile number. It's not as reliable as the one they calculate every 3 months, but it did show a fairly sharp dip. So that created an expectation maybe the bank will just jam on the brakes today, and then they'll get the proper inflation figure at the end of this month, the 3-month one, and then they may go again next month. I think either way, there's at least one more interest rate rise in them. Mm-hmm. It's just whether it comes, today or in a month's time.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, Phil, is, even if they pause today, whether or not there is another increase coming, and you kind of answered it there at the end.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? There's been, 12 in 14 months, but it does feel like there is one or maybe two before we start to get a little bit of relief.
Yeah, look, the problem is, Tom, the Reserve Bank, it's sort of like this animal that has one job, and and that's to get inflation back toward between what they call their target band, which is 2% to 3%. It's still around 6%. So if they hold off today, what happens when they increase rates, especially the rate they've been doing? There is a lag effect. It's not immediate, apparent, the effect. So it's not a bad idea just to hold off and just sort of weigh up the effects of everything that it's done. Because inflation may be 6%, but it may be about to nosedive because of the lag effect. So that, I think, is the sort of broader expectation. They'll just sit off. I think it's definitely the broader hope they do. So we'll know. We've seen the government in the last few days announce they're in line for this whopping budget surplus this year of $19 billion. Back in the May budget, they thought they were only going to get 4. It's going to be 19, and immediately people are demanding they spend it. But the government has to help the Reserve Bank here. It's got to resist the temptation to spend that surplus, because if it does that, it'll just make inflation worse. So, that's what the government talks about when it works with the Reserve Bank and not against it.
And how much pressure? I know it is, the prime objective of the Reserve Bank to keep inflation low, but how much pressure on Philip Lowe? I mean, he's been in the headlines a lot. Would he feel that politically? You would hope that wouldn't affect his decision, but it might come into it, I suppose, Phil.
Well, look, he's definitely, I've never known a Reserve Bank government to come under such scrutiny as this, and that's a product of the times we're in. We haven't had, volatile cycle like this for 20, 30 years. But look, the only thing about that, Tom, is he's out the door in September. No one's expecting his term to be renewed, so I think Lowe will just do what he thinks needs to be done, rather than what people might want him to do. But he's obviously they made that error early on in the COVID when they sort of thought rates wouldn't rise until 2024. That was, as you said, Lucy, 400 basis points ago. So he probably wants to shore up his legacy before he goes and do the right thing.
Phil, we've got a young producer out here this week on Brecky Blake, a massive Carlton fan, just like you. What have they had recently? 2 wins in a row?
Yeah. Yeah, I fear it's part of that Carlton cycle of lifting hope and destroying it. We always play well when it's too late, and I dare say we'll probably miss the finals by 4 to 6 points, and another coulda, shoulda, woulda season. But how good is Port and the Crows at the moment?
Yeah, we're up and about over here at the moment, Phil. But it was better from your boys on the weekend. Fremantle away this week's a big one.
Yeah, it is. I look at they've got a hard run home. I think we're coming up against Port and we've got Melbourne, and we've got all the hard ones. So we'll be lucky. Yeah.
Good luck to you and the Baggers.
Too late. Okay,
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Phil Curry, political editor of the Oz Financial Review there, hoping that they will pause rates today, but we'll find out after lunchtime.
Yeah, and like he said, probably one more interest rate rise. And he makes a great point about that lag effect, because it's not instantaneous, the feedback you get. So those previous increases have taken a while to come into effect, so maybe they'll wait for a month or two to see where inflation is at. But there's no doubt a lot of people, and Lucy, you were talking to me off air, you've come off the fixed rate recently and then had to refix, it has a massive impact on your repayments and how much you're having to pay back, depending, of course, on the size of your loan. But it's going to affect so many homeowners with that cash rate going up by the 400 basis points, as you say. It's 4.1% at the moment. So there'll be a lot of homeowners out there today who are about to or have just come off the fixed loan interest rates, who'll be praying, fingers crossed, thinking, please don't go up again, or we need it to start going the other way. But I think it's going to be a few months before the cash rate starts to come down.
Brenton in Woodville's given us a ring this morning. Morning, Brenton.
Morning, Tom. Bonjour, Lucy.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Just another burst water main to report on for you that you haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah, whereabouts?
So on Nelson Road at Valley View, so in between Montague Road and if you're heading south towards Grand Junction on the left-hand side there, another one there. SA Water's just gotten on the scene. The manhole cover's given way, so there's a big hole there. So it's down to 25, so people travelling between Montague and Grand Junction, just take it easy through there.
Yeah, good
Thank
call.
you, Brenton. Yeah, busy.
Roads are quite slippery at the moment with the water there.
Busy spot this time of morning. Thanks heaps, Brenton. Burst water main there in the northeastern suburbs to be aware of, but thankfully SA Water are on the scene. Would love to hear your calls this morning, 8223 0000. Maybe we'll get to some of those in a moment about cars. We were chatting about old cars, your first cars, your favourite cars earlier in the show. We'd still love to hear from you this morning because we do have an Uggs to You $100 voucher to give away to someone who calls in this morning. Or you can shoot us a text on the Duttons text line. Thanks to Duttons, 3 dealerships and 10 franchises in the Adelaide Hills and Murray Bridge. Duttons, easy to do business with. Coming up after the break, we will be chatting about vaping, this absolutely shocking instance that was shown on the news last night. A 4-year-old girl was, I guess, forced to have a few puffs of a vape by a family member.
Terrible. And we'll find out, I guess, some of the health consequences of what vaping can do to younger people in general. So we'll have a chat to a health expert in a moment about that. But you're right, Lucy, it was very confronting pictures and someone has since been charged as a result of that incident.
Let's check traffic for your run in this morning. If you've got any thoughts on the vaping story, we'd love to hear from you as well this morning, 8223 0000. But here's traffic.
Thanks, Lucy. You got a 2-car smash to look out for this morning at Enfield. It's at Regency Road and Main North Road intersection. Pretty solid delays there at the moment. FIVEAA water mains playing up today. You'll find one at Coronado Valley, Main Road, Ackland Hill Road. She's down to 40. Another one at Urbray, Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Busy as we speak. South Road at Edwardstown heading city bound. That's due to works near Bunnings. And look out for a camera at Hanson Road at Wingfield. Participate in medical research and be paid for your time. CMAX needs healthy people aged 18 to 55. To register, visit cmax.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Need a forklift? Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Toyota is the world's #1 forklift brand with a great range of pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options. Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Get a Toyota forklift.
What's winter looking like for solar owners? With the upcoming energy increases, many solar owners can expect huge power bills from using expensive electricity at night, like running heaters. But with adding a solar battery from NRG Solar, you don't need to stress. We'll help you cure that winter bill and we'll help you pay off that battery even sooner. We'll set you up with 13.5 kilowatt hours of storage, a 10-year warranty, blackout protection and an awesome app for monitoring it on your phone. Don't wait. Visit nrgsolar.com.au today.
If you're fitting out a workshop, your shed or rooms around the home with some extra storage, just forget the IKEA flat pack or any other flat packs for that matter. I'm usually an IKEA person, but any flat pack, just forget it. Instead, go Charmin shelving all the way.
Yeah, now here's the thing, Lucy. We all love about Charmin shelving. It's all done for you. That's the kind of thing I need, because I'm hopeless at using my hands. Never done a hard day's work in their life. It's not flat packed, so you're not going to sit there for hours trying to find the part that's marked A that's meant to fit into the part that's marked C, but it won't because the part marked B is missing.
So please call Charmin Shelving. They'll come out, give you a free measure and quote, then and deliver, and they'll assemble it all for you.
Or if you're braver than me and you wanted to assemble it all yourself, they'll give you all the support you need.
When it comes to storage solutions, everyone needs a little Charmin in their life. That's 412 North East Road in Windsor Gardens, charminshelving.com.au, or you can take a look on Facebook.
Some builders think a sloping block has limitations. When Beechwood Homes look at a sloping block, they think, the possibilities. Beechwood Homes know how to make the most of a sloping block. In fact, they specialise in them. Beechwood will design a home that works with the land you have, taking full advantage of every square metre. So if you're looking at a sloping block, go for it. Beechwood has your back. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware and adware remain the number one threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
5AA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Lucy Lokan.
The Cherry Motor 5, state-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
10 to 8 this morning. John Blake's having a rest, so there will be no Blakey here, but we will do best of behind closed doors at 8:50. Now, if you watched the TV news last night, and we have opted not to play the footage because it is a bit distressing first thing in the morning, a 4-year-old girl was filmed smoking a vape. A teenage boy handed her an e-cigarette, placed it in her mouth and told her to suck, and the video footage of her taking a short drag of this e-cigarette was then put online. The Police Commissioner, Grant Stevens, is aware of it, but saying it was concerning behaviour. The police have reported a 16-year-old for supplying a minor with a tobacco product, but at this stage it's unlikely there'll be further police intervention. It's just a shocking story. It's not the first that we've heard about vaping here in South Australia over the past year. The incident took place in the northern suburbs in an Elizabeth Downs home, and of course was doing the news rounds last night. To comment on this shocking story is Dr. Colin Mendelsohn. He is the member of the expert advisory group that develops national smoking cessation guidelines. We welcome Dr. Mendelsohn to the show. Good morning. Oh, there we go. Good morning to you, Dr. Mendelsohn. Sorry about that.
Good thing. Good morning.
Now, you've done a lot of work about tobacco harm reduction. You've done a lot of work, obviously, with adults in how to quit things like smoking and being reliant on tobacco products. But seeing the rise of vaping, what's been your work there?
Look, I've been involved in research and writing about vaping and advocacy for vaping because I think for adults who smoke, who can't otherwise quit, it's a really valuable life-saving tool. Look, it's not for young people, and we need to get the regulations right so we keep it away from kids. But it should be available for adults to help them quit because we know that it's far safer, it's the most effective quitting aid we have and the most popular.
We don't know the further background on this story, whether the vape of the 16-year-old, whether that came from his parents or he himself. Where do you stand with vapes at a teenage level?
Oh, look, kids shouldn't be vaping. There's no question about that. This is an adult quitting aid. But look, the reality is that, whether we want kids to vape or smoke or not, some teenagers are going to do it. And, that's unfortunately now become quite common. But it's partly because we're regulating e-cigarettes so badly. We've created a thriving black market that sells dodgy products freely to young kids. They can walk into any corner store and buy these products. And I think the solution is to regulate them like they do in other countries where you have them sold from licensed retail outlets with strict age verification so that adults can buy them, but kids are restricted. And I think that's what we need to be doing because we don't want kids doing it. I mean, everyone agrees on that.
Yeah, and you're right. Just on that, SA Health has received several reports in the first few months of this year of children under 5 being exposed to products like e-cigarettes. Just how harmful can those kinds of products be to young children, Doctor?
Yeah, look, I've had a good think about this case in Adelaide from last night, and the more I think about it, the more I think, look, we shouldn't be panicking about this. You know, kids do stupid things. This is a teenager, 16-year-old teenager, and, you know, look, he didn't mix fentanyl in the kids' breakfast cereal. He didn't drive her around when drunk. I mean, the actual risk from this is negligible. This kid would have coughed, but the amount of nicotine in a brief puff from a vape is, I worked out last night, about less than a 20th of the puff from a cigarette.
Yeah.
And without most of the toxic chemicals. So the risk is harm. The optics is terrible.
Yes.
And we don't want to be encouraging this, but actually the risk is quite small.
Is there
the kid may have coughed. She kept vaping. She may have got nauseous, and she would have stopped.
Yes, and is there a risk as well, sorry, Doctor, that addiction could also become a problem at such a young age?
Oh, definitely not. Not from a single puff, no. No, addiction can occur from long-term use, and most kids who've never smoked don't get addicted. There's a lot of fear about nicotine, but kids who smoke get addicted, and then they switch to vaping and they're still addicted, but very few kids who have never smoked who vape become addicted, because mostly kids who've never vaped just do it experimentally. It's short-term, it's occasional, and very few actually get addicted. Some do, and it's not a good thing, but nicotine's otherwise relatively benign, we now know. We used to think it was much more dangerous, but in fact, apart from that risk of addiction, it doesn't cause a lot of other problems.
Dr. Colin Mendelsohn, thank you for your time this morning. So, of course, he says the optics are absolutely terrible around a 16-year-old giving a 4-year-old a vape, but thankfully the doctor explained that the risk actually from one puff is very low, thankfully, obviously not encouraged. Again, we're not saying that. Course. But, and vaping shouldn't be available to teenagers especially. And I know Dr. Mendelsohn's a strong advocate for creating better regulations around vaping. So for those who are coming off of cigarettes or other forms of addictive substances that turn to vaping as a safer alternative, he's really passionate about creating proper national regulations around obtaining vapes. Not in teenagers, though, purely for adults.
That's right, yeah. And used appropriately, it's a really useful tool, but it's that misuse and, like you said, those optics when you see it last night. And look, that was the one vape we saw. We just hope that there weren't others that have been also taking place that haven't been filmed.
We don't know the full story, and if any more comes out or if anyone has any thoughts, please share them. 0448 08 1395, that is the Duttons text line. Someone here says, sorry, but what the hell is a 16-year-old doing vaping? Surely that's illegal. And that's right. There isn't a lot of clarity around what is legal, not illegal for teenagers who obtain vapes, who can just go to the shop and get their hands on them. SA Health is doing a lot of work at the moment to clamp down on vaping in schools, to stop them being so appealing that you can just go to the shop and buy them because they look pretty and they look trendy. That's a big project of SA Health at the moment. We were talking about old cars. We'll squeeze in one call before we get to the 8 o'clock news. Sue in Mylor, good morning.
Good morning. You two are doing a very good job. Lovely to hear you.
Oh, thank you,
thanks,
Sue.
You wanted to chat about cars?
Yeah, just my ex was car obsessed, but in the early 90s, we had a succession of Leyland P76s.
Oh.
We had 3, I think, in a row.
Did you all get the same colour, or did you mix it up every one you got?
Well, we had a white one, a blue one, and a canary yellow one.
And comfy cars, were they, Sue?
No. No. Oh, actually, yes and no. They were reliable, unlike what people think. We went up the Flinders in them. He went to Bathurst several times and choked around the back of New South Wales in them. We went to Victoria quite a few times around the back country, and they never let us down. They were, and amazingly back then too, early 90s, they were on gas, which wasn't common back then.
Yeah, right. I'm just having a look at some of the images now. They are that old school, sort of big bonnet at the front, aren't they?
Yep. Yeah, you hit something and the other car will suffer, not you. They were really big, strong.
Yeah.
And we liked them. They were good. You fit a lot of stuff in them, and you sort of say we took them up the Flinders and so forth, never let us down.
And you
Easy to fix.
You would have stood out in that canary yellow one suit, no doubt. The old game in the car when you see a punch buggy, you punch your sibling every time you see a yellow car.
Yeah, I used to play car cricket, where red cars are worth 6 and trucks mean you're out. Used to play that all the time back in the day when you didn't have phones. So maybe the P76 could be worth a few runs as well.
There we go. The guys just told me it's Spotto. The punch buggy is when you see a Volkswagen buggy, but Spotto is when you see a yellow car. When you punch your sibling or your mate.
Okay.
Very good. Call us all this morning, folks. 8223 0000. We'll chat with you before 9 o'clock. But coming up next is the 8 o'clock news.
Now, let's see what's in the swear jar at Biurban Bathrooms and Kitchens. Oh, wrong swear jar. This is it. From Martin the Tiler, affectionately known as Millimetre Martin. He swears you'll love his millimetre-perfect craftsmanship. And here's one from Rick the Plumber. Rick swears to always clean up after himself, guaranteed. For a team that swears to deliver on quality and service, see Biurban Bathrooms and Kitchens, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
This is it. You have just 2 days until the absolute final deadline in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. It could be you winning the $4 million Scott Salisbury Grand Prize and living the good life. With over 13,000 prizes, you have a 1 in 15 chance of winning. But hurry, you've only got 2 days to join the fight and get your tickets. See full lottery details at homelottery.com.au. Licence M14364.
We know how to turn on a light, but sometimes we forget to turn them off once we're in another room. With clever and low-cost home automation from Cosco Energy Group, you'll never have to remember. And paired with clever solar, battery storage and air conditioning solutions, you could also save some serious dollars. Experience the solutions at the Cosco Energy Group's interactive showroom, 336 South Road, Croydon Park. KOZCO, Cosco Energy Group.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 15 with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Complete windscreen supply and fit, front, rear and door glass. Proudly South Australian since 1976.
An unexpected rebound in Australia's property sector could force the Reserve Bank to lift interest rates for a 13th time. More from Michael Packy.
The RBA board is meeting today to decide its next interest rate move in what is a volatile environment. There's been a 20% jump in the number of new dwellings approved in May. Most are unit developments. And despite previous interest rate hikes, there's been a 5% increase in mortgage lending, while key data also shows property prices remain high. Some economists say these are signs the economy is still running hot and interest rates will need to increase. Others believe it's time for the RBA to pause, given inflation appears to be moderating.
An interest-free car loan scheme's being extended to help vulnerable drivers buy a vehicle or cover registration and maintenance. People who've experienced domestic violence, earn under $70,000 a year, or are on a healthcare or pension card can apply for the federal government initiative. Social Services Minister Amanda Rishworth says the pilot scheme's designed to help those with their day-to-day life, including getting to work.
We know that for a number of people, the cost of transport is really expensive, and if they can't get a car or another mode of transport to go to their job, then a person might lose their job.
Police are investigating a car fire at Nailsworth. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says it broke out around 2:30.
Police at MFS were called to Harvey Street after reports of a car on fire, and the Toyota Hilux was fully engulfed in flames when patrols arrived, but it was quickly extinguished by fire crews. Now, checks revealed the car had actually been stolen from Greenwith on the 21st of June.
Skeletal remains have been found inside a burnt-out vehicle in Sydney's south. Emergency crews were called to reports of a Toyota RAV4 alight in a car park at Waterfall. Police are investigating if the remains are human. It seems the River Revival vouchers are working to entice people back to the Murray Lakes and Coorong. More than $3.1 million has been injected into the economy from round one, and round two's already generated $2 million in bookings. Tourism Minister Zoe Bettison says if you did get a voucher, you need to use it before you lose it.
So you got to the 25th of July to book, and don't forget that's a much longer travel period now.
going out to November this year. But if you haven't booked, use your voucher by the 25th of July. It will go into the second chance draw, which will be drawn on the 27th of July.
Tragedy for the De Niros, with actor Robert's grandson dying of a suspected overdose. Police have confirmed they're investigating the 19-year-old's death. The actor has released a statement saying he's deeply distressed by the death of his grandson and appreciates everyone's condolences. Hollywood actor Kevin Spacey is facing allegations of historic sex offences in a London court. Curry-Ann Greenbank's there.
Well, the second day of the trial of Kevin Spacey has seen the first of his accusers take to the stand. The session began with the jury being shown a video recording of the interview the complainant first gave to police. He was then questioned from behind a curtain to protect his identity and called Spacey a slippery, snaky, difficult person, and that the alleged assaults were almost like grooming. The alleged victim says there were around 12 occasions when he was assaulted by Spacey over a period of around 4 years in the early 2000s. Spacey is facing 12 counts of sexual assault against 4 men, which he denies. The trial is expected to last between 3 and 4 weeks.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Check out Gliderol Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderol.com.au.
Here's Jono Edwards.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's head over to the UK. 2 Australians have recorded wins overnight at Wimbledon. Craig Gabriel reports from London.
Alexander Vukic, originally from Epping in Sydney, has enjoyed one of his best career results. He's into the Wimbledon second round, beating German Daniel Altmaier 6-3, 7-6, 3-6, 7-5, and he suggested a well-oiled crowd helped him over the line. Earlier, Jordan Thompson shook off a poor start to beat Brandon Nakashima from 2 sets to love down and will play Novak Djokovic. Disappointment, though, for Storm Hunter and Max Purcell. 5 Aussies on tonight, including Alex de Minaur.
Let's head to cricket, and debate is continuing to rage over Australia's controversial dismissal of Johnny Bairstow in the second Ashes Test. Former Test captain Mark Taylor has told Nine's Wide World of Sports Bairstow needs to take responsibility.
First thing you're taught as a batsman is to stay in. Don't get out.
Yes.
And there is 10 ways to get out. One of them is stumped. If you wander around outside your crease when the ball is still live, you're a chance to get stumped, and as far as I'm concerned, it's end of the story.
Let's head down to West Lakes, and the Crows are working out how they will replace the injured Jordan Butts for Sunday's game against Essendon. Assistant coach Nathan Van Berlo says Mark Keane and James Borlase are in the mix.
One's Irish and one's Egyptian, so there's a bit of difference between the two of them, but they've both got unique skill sets. They're both big, strong boys and have developed really well over the last, particularly James, over the last few years with us, and we've known Mark's been in the system previously with Collingwood. Both got a different skill set that helps out in different ways.
In baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers have defeated the Chicago Cubs 8-6, while the Texas Rangers have gone down to the Houston Astros 11-12. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Planning a function? Speak to the Adelaide Convention Centre team to elevate your vision for your next event.
Good morning. At Enfield, we've got a 2-car smash to look out for today. It's at Regency Road and Main North Road intersection. Pretty solid delays there too. Few burst water mains around this morning. You find them at Coromandel Valley, Main Road near Ackland Hill Road. She's down to 40 there. Another one at Urbray, Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Well, at Crayfus West, a breakdown on the freeway near the Crayfus ramp. That's as you're heading inbound. Busy South Road at Edwardstown with the camera Fletcher Road at Birkenhead. Feel like a coffee? Enjoy a freshly ground barista-made quality coffee from OTR. Order on the OTR app and it's as easy as click and collect. OTR, making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Partly cloudy, a high of 15, a late shower or two tomorrow, 17, and showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 15. At the moment, 9. More news as it happens on 5AA.
5AA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Lucy Lokan.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
8:08 on your Tuesday morning. David and Will off on their mid-year break for this week. So Tommy and myself in the chairs till Friday. Currently 8.7 degrees out in the city. We are having a chilly start to July, that's for sure. July the 4th, which means, of course, it is time you can do your tax. It also means you've got to get your pet registration in. That will happen at June 30. So go to your local council's page to register your pet. But it does mean that in the Northern Hemisphere, it is summer.
Yes, right in the midst of it.
Canada suffers from extensive wildfires, different terrain compared to South Australia. But of course, we are no strangers to bushfires here in SA. So some of our CFS volunteers have been over in Canada helping fight the fires over there. We're lucky to be joined by Terry Schutz. He is a CFS volunteer and has just returned from Canada. We welcome Terry to the show. Good morning to you, Terry.
Good morning, Lucy. Tom, how are you today?
Yeah, we're very well, thank you. No doubt you're readjusting to the cooler temperatures of Adelaide. How hot does it get in Canada this time of year? I know their wildfires are sort of a yearly occurrence, but what's the temperature like compared to here?
Yeah, they have a sweltering 27, 28 degrees.
I don't mean to laugh, it's bad for them, but it is laughable for us when we regularly get 40.
Yeah, that's right. No, they're struggling a little bit with it, especially on those days. It would sometimes drop down to about 14 degrees as well, depending on what sort of weather they had come through, which is quite strange, the weather. Not as predictable as what we have here.
I was going to ask you, what made it so difficult to fight the fires over there? Was it the different and, contrasting conditions over there as opposed to here? And just describe those for us if you can.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most difficult thing for an Australian firefighter to get their head around was the environment. And it's, whilst it's still fire, it's the same as what we fight here. Just the landscape and the trees are different, but also, so we've got basically spruce and aspen, which look like pine tree and a poplar. But the biggest difficulty is that all this grows on top of water and ice. And so we're fighting fires with so much water around, which is very strange for Australian firefighters to be dealing with. But, these trees grow in swamps. And, we are constantly walking in, knee-deep water to get to hotspots which are growing on top of that. So you can try and comprehend that sort of a environment. It's quite strange.
It doesn't really calculate with us when we're so used to dry scrub, dry gum trees, the smell of eucalyptus going up and combined with smoke. It seems really tough to imagine. But I know that a fair number of CFS volunteers have headed over this season.
That's correct, yes. So 4 went with myself, so 3 others, and we've just returned, but there's others that have gone over as well. And this is something that CFS have been working with Canada and the US for many years.
Do they call on our expertise because we're so used to fighting fires, like it's something we're well trained in and they know that they need people who are trained?
Definitely. I mean, South Australian CFS volunteers are extremely well trained, but at the same time, I think they're looking for help. We're obviously, our countries are good friends, and we support each other. They've come out and helped us in the 1920 fires. So I think, it's sort of like it's good to be able to give back.
And Terry, just talk to us about the damage done over there. We've had some pictures over here, but because it's so far away, we don't get as much coverage as they obviously would have locally back home. What kind of damage are we talking that was happening over there during those fires, and are they under control now?
It's interesting. I guess you've got to look at Alberta, the state that we were working in. It's a little bit smaller than South Australia. And 60% of it is forest. So if you can sort of comprehend when you've got large fires burning in forest, which is continuous, with some small agricultural sections in between it, it's very difficult to sort of get a handle on. We thought we had our particular fire, but I know for a fact that it's still going because it seems to burn under a 30 centimetre peat level for one of the problems. And you don't know that until they get these extreme days, which is only 25 degrees with 20, 30 k/hour winds. And then it will pop up and crown. So it's a very difficult animal to fight.
Is this the first time you've been to Canada fighting fires?
Yes, it is.
I don't want to say did you enjoy the experience, obviously you're there to work, but was it something from which you can learn and bring your skills back here?
100%. So the experience itself was absolutely amazing. to be in that environment for 28 days or 30 days and to work with people from all around the world, but mainly the Canadians, who are just lovely people. So that was an incredible experience, but also you had the difficulties of getting around because there's no roads through the forest. You're working in very wet conditions sometimes. They've got about 40 different species of biting bugs that can annoy you. We think we've got it bad with flies. I can tell you, these things are insane. But it was a great experience. We didn't get a whole lot of time to look around because that's not what we were there for. But at the same time, I got to stand in the middle of some of the, the most beautiful forests in the world, I believe.
And how does it work, Terry, in terms of, accommodation, or where do they put you up? How does that all happen? Because there's, quite a few of you going over, and how long were you there for exactly?
Yeah, so the first part, I guess, people, when the first contingents go over, a lot of people will just be staying in tents, and they'll have then a camp, kitchen, meals, things like that. Obviously, where IMTs work with huts and really good camps. By the time I got there, we actually were housed in sort of camp sort of style accommodation. So like ACO huts, I think most people would understand what that is. But like mining huts. We were over there we did two 14-day shifts with 2 days off in between, and that was it. Pretty much we arrived, did our 14 days, 2 days off, another 14 days, and home.
Wow. Pretty intense month-long trip, no doubt, Terry, to Canada. But I'm glad you enjoyed it regardless. And
it's a great deed to do as well.
Yeah, Terry, thank you so much for your time this morning. Enjoy the cooler temperatures here.
Very, very cold.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lucy and Tom. Thank you.
No, thank you. Terry Schutz there, an SACFS volunteer, just returned from Canada. I know we laugh about that it's cold here, but one of my good friends lived in Montreal and their weather got down to minus 22. So really got nothing to complain about when it's 8 degrees outside here.
Well, exactly. And it won't be that long, Lucy, until, we're into bushfire season here in Australia, and we know how horrific things can get, particularly off the back of a very wet winter, which it looks like we're having at the moment. So our CFS volunteers do a fabulous job, and it's great that they're spreading their expertise and time and energy into other areas of the world also.
Coming up in this final 45 minutes of the program, we will get to my movie review of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest shortly. After 8:30, we're chatting with Greg Pattinson, the CEO of Food Bank, and we will have the best of Behind Closed Doors from John Blake. But we live to give here on the program, and we have tickets to the Glenelg Winter Arts Festival. The Gluttony is presenting it this year. The shows, bars and festive fun all down at the Bay, July 6 to 23 in Collie Reserve. You can get your tickets at glenelgwinterfestival.com. But right now we've got tickets for you and a friend to get along to see Nazim Hussain perform down there at the Glenelg Winter Arts Festival.
Right.
Give us a ring, 8223 0055. Be the first caller through to get those tickets to see Nazim. And while we let those calls run through, I just want to highlight, if anyone is flying to Cairns or Darwin in October and you have already booked, lucky you, enjoy your holiday, but Virgin Australia will suspend their flights from Adelaide to Darwin and Adelaide to Cairns from October this year. It is a seasonal suspension. They will resume their services from March 2024. So seasonal demand means that they are trying to minimise the impact on passengers who've already booked, but typically in that season, I guess they're the off seasons for those places.
Yeah, so not so prevalent, and half full cabins probably aren't ideal for Virgin, so not going to resume those direct flights until March next year, so about 9 months from now.
If you have booked to travel on Virgin Australia to Cairns or Darwin from 8th of October, you will be contacted by Virgin or your travel provider to sort out your alternate arrangements. Thankfully, that's October, because I've booked on Virgin to Cairns, but luckily I'm beating the deadline.
When are you heading there?
August.
Oh, half your luck. You'll be nice and warm while the rest of us are freezing here in Adelaide.
Well, that's the idea, Tommy, because I hate the cold, and once the guys return, I'm going to take a couple of weeks off eventually.
You're going.
So
half
that
your
will
luck.
be nice.
Good on you. Well deserved.
We'll chat about movies shortly with my review of the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but we've talked about Indiana Jones, the 5th instalment of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Here is a bit of the teaser trailer. It is out in cinemas now, but here is the trailer.
I miss waking up every morning, wondering what wonderful adventure the new day will bring to us.
Those days have come and gone.
Perhaps not.
I don't believe in magic. But a few times in my life, I've seen things I can't explain. And I've come to believe it's not so much what you believe. It's how hard you believe it.
Harrison Ford, 80, of course, opening box office in America. It cost $300 million to make,
Wow.
Style of Destiny, and it made only $130 million on its 3-day opening. The movie grossed $60 million in the US, $70 million internationally, which means it didn't even make half of what it cost to make.
And look, there's still time to make it back, but it's obviously going to slow down, you would think, after those first few days. So they're not getting their return on investment just yet. But I remember growing up on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where Sean Connery played his father. That was an iconic movie, the scene where he has the umbrella on the beach to get the seagulls into the German planes, I think it was. Loved those movies growing up, the great music, as you heard there. But 80 years of age, Harrison Ford, that's amazing.
The first movie was, of course, 1981, 42 years ago, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. The fourth film, which I haven't seen, came out, I think, 2008. That made $100 million in its opening weekend. So the fifth movie has done better than the fourth in the opening 3 days. It is, of course, the July 4th holiday long weekend in America. So they've got a few days to make up a little bit of that cash. We will continue the movie chat after this, the long-awaited rating. I know, Rennie, you're excited to hear what I'm about to give one of your favourite films.
Yes.
You'll either be thrilled or very disappointed in me.
Well, I hope I'm not disappointed.
We shall wait and see. But for now, let's check your traffic for the drive-in this morning.
Thanks, Lucy. 2-car smash at Enfield has things pretty slow at the intersection of Regency Road and Main North Road. Keep it in mind if you're heading that way. Coromandel Valley, burst water main, Main North Road near Ackland Hill Road. She's down to 40. And got another burst water main this morning at Erbray, Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Cravers West got a breakdown on the freeway. It's near the Cravers ramp inbound. We're quite busy Grand Junction Road at Jepps Cross. Will Anderson's back in ABC's Gruen. He'll dissect the ads we love and the ones we loathe. All new Gruen. Stream now for free on ABC iView. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hi, it's Eddie May here from NRG Solar. Home batteries for solar systems, are they all the same? Well, definitely not. At NRG Solar, we've spent thousands of hours testing different batteries. A great battery has plenty of power, runs your home in a blackout, and has an easy-to-use app that's very smart. Imagine having a battery that actually earns you money by buying electricity when prices are cheap and selling it back when prices are high. A 10-year warranty, blackout protection, and an awesome app for monitoring it on your phone. Want to know more? Visit nrgsolar.com.au today.
G'day everyone, Cornsey here. Now, I know a great team and I see one, and the South Australian hydraulic team I rate the highest is BL Shipway. I've known them for a long time. David Shipway is one of the best blokes you'll ever meet. BL Shipway, they've been looking after your hydraulic and pneumatic needs since 1953 with brands like Ryco, Rexroth, Enerpac, Hydac, Oilpath, EasyFit and many more. And if you can't get to them, they'll send a Ryco 24/7 van to you anytime, anywhere. blshipway.com.au, a South Australian team you can count on.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Local and experienced trade specialists.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem, or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware, and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
When you're gone, who gets the things most precious to you? Like your highly valued comic book collection or your 1976 Tirana in mint condition. If you don't have a will, you'll never know. Donlan Lawyers specialise in wills and estate planning. From the simplest to the most complex, Donlan Lawyers will give effect to your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com, Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide, and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
5AA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Lucy Lokan.
The Cherry Amoda 5. State-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
8:24 for your Tuesday morning. Now, Tommy, you gave me the option of the what is it? Usual Suspects?
The Usual Suspects.
I was about to call it the Unusual Suspects.
No, The Usual Suspects, which I still want you to see at some point, Lucy, but I know you're very busy.
It'll go on the repercharge list, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Now, as I mentioned to you, I have the book and I haven't read it, so that was lucky that we managed to get that underway. You ready to hear my review?
Yes, I'm ready. Give it to me.
Have you got the tissues ready?
Okay.
I can see that One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a type of black humour that might appeal to some, but I can also understand that it's pretty real for those who have been in a mental institution or have worked in that circumstance. It is an emotionally complex film, and its characters are certainly memorable. People see Nurse Ratched as the villain. I find her a bit more of a subtle villain, which I kind of liked. And the hospital symbolises the repressive madhouse, and being portrayed back in the 60s. I don't fully understand what that time was like for those in asylums, but I did find it to be quite an insightful film. I wouldn't call it entertaining, and I'm not a big fan of Jack Nicholson, but I did enjoy his belligerent character McMurphy and the story of humanity that was told. Overall, 2.5 stars.
2.5? Oh, Lucy, what's the maximum you can give?
5.
Oh, wow.
So I've given it 50%.
Okay.
2.5 stars.
Oh, what about one of my favourite characters in the movie is Chief Bromden?
The Chief was great.
The Chief was great. And the scene at the end where...
Won't give it away, but that I actually had to Google to make sure I understood it properly.
Yeah.
I had mixed emotions about the last 10 minutes. Like you said, it was a slow burn. It was 2 hours, 13 minutes. I thought it was a slow burn till about the 1 hour 55 mark. And then the last 20 minutes, a lot happened. And that was quite emotional.
Well, and the symbolism is so great because, you had McMurphy who tried to lift it up, and the chief in the book, which you'll get to as well, always saw McMurphy as so much bigger than him, even though he's bigger because it's all in his mind. So it's all about, the limitations of the mind. And then McMurphy, empowers him and says, Chief, you're as big as a mountain. And then at the end he is, and he feels strong and liberated by McMurphy. So he literally lifts up the fountain to break his way out. It's just magnificent. And whenever I see it, I get a tear. I think it's great. And the movie, of course, launched the career basically of Jack Nicholson, who was already a rising star and coming through. But Danny DeVito, it was his first ever movie. And
was it really? He was excellent, because I did some reading on his character Martini, and he played Martini in the stage adaptation.
Yes.
And they got him to reprise the role in the film.
And then Christopher Lloyd as well, who was in Back to the Future. It really elevated it and launched his career as well. So it was a massive movie at the time. But yeah, it is potentially a bit outdated, the way it's shot, now compared to what you see with movies. Bit of a contrast there, but yeah, definitely an old favourite of mine.
2.5 stars, sorry, Rennie. The scene I've picked here, slight language warning. It's not that bad, we need to dump it, but just, some people might not love the tone of it. It's when Jack Nicholson's character McMurphy, he realises that his other asylum colleagues, all of them except for one, are actually voluntary admitted. He himself has come there from prison.
Mm-hmm.
This is when he's talking to the group and he realises that other people can actually leave.
Cheswick, you're voluntary? Mm-hmm. Billy, for Christ's sakes, you must be committed, right? No. I mean, you're just a young kid. What are you doing here? You ought to be out in a convertible. Bird dogging chicks and banging beaver. What are you doing here, for Christ's sake? What's so funny about that? Well, Jesus, I mean, you guys do nothing but complain about how you can't stand it in this place here, and then you haven't got the guts just to walk out? I mean, what do you think you are, for Christ's sake? Crazy or something? Well, you're not. You're not. You're no crazier than the average asshole out walking around on the streets, and that's it.
I did a bit of research because I wasn't sure the levels of mental complexities these characters had, and they weren't in the disturbed ward, which has people who suffer from things or are diagnosed with things like schizophrenia or really psychiatric illnesses that change how you act in day-to-day life. But a lot of the characters in Jack Nicholson's ward are things like, Billy has a stutter and is suicidal and things like that. So I did find the complexity of it quite interesting, but...
Yeah, and McMurphy's such a challenging character to nurse Ratchet because she's controlling these voluntary patients and, you know, limiting their choice, and that's what he's saying to them there is, you know, you guys can leave, you know, you don't have to stay here. Why are you here? And one of my other favourite scenes is when he calls the imaginary game of baseball. He's not allowed to change the TV, so he starts calling the game as if it is playing, even though it's a blank screen. And everyone just gets involved, and it's just his challenge on her authority, which is so powerful and yet ultimately so tragic. So, yeah, great movie and fantastic book if you ever get the time to read the book as well. Ken Kesey wrote it. I think it's a wonderful story.
We will be back with more after the 8:30 news, but as always, I do welcome debate to the movie bowl. Someone's texted in saying 2.5, wow, Lucy, you're a hard sell. Yep, no shame. But feel free to jump on board with your movie bowl comments. Of course, movies are better at Wallace, SA's home of the big screen magic and entertainment. Visit wallace.com.au.
Babe, why is there a boat in our driveway?
Yes.
And new golf clubs in the laundry?
Right, well...
And do you know anything about a holiday booking in the Maldives?
Yeah, babe.
Did we win the lottery?
Babe.
Did you get a promotion?
Babe.
Oh no, you're having a midlife crisis.
Babe, chill. I went to Cosco Energy Group.
Cosco?
Yeah, Kozco. They've installed a new solar system on the roof, so now we're saving on power.
Cosco Energy Group, the experts at reducing your power costs. Cosco.com.au.
Babe, why is there a motorbike helmet on the table?
This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Partly cloudy and 15 with the 8:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Chipped windscreen? Complete Windscreens can repair it from just $99. Look for the big red koala.
The Reserve Bank's considering whether to raise interest rates for the 13th time since May last year. While recent data shows inflation's moderating, new figures reveal a strong rebound in the property sector. Almost a third of Buy Now, Pay Later users are skipping paying household bills to meet repayments. More from Emily Minnie.
Finance experts warn the Buy Now, Pay Later sector is pushing people into enormous debt. A survey from Finder shows people who use services like Afterpay, Zip or Klarna are ignoring their everyday expenses to pay off the short-term loans. Around 14% of respondents admitted to not paying their electricity bills, 11% said they missed a meal, and 9% skipped a mortgage repayment. New laws to regulate the sector and classify them as credit products will be brought in by the end of the year.
Police are working to identify more people in a video of a 4-year-old girl being told to smoke a vape in Adelaide. So far, a 16-year-old boy's been reported for supplying a minor with a tobacco product. The clip shows the girl being handed the device and told to suck. She takes a drag and blows out the smoke. Dr. Colin Mendelsohn from the Australian Tobacco Harm Reduction Association has told 5AA Breakfast, while it looks bad, she wouldn't have come to any harm from one puff.
Kids do stupid things. This is a teenager. The actual risk from this is negligible. This kid would have coughed, but the amount of nicotine in a brief puff from a vape is about less than about a 20th of the puff from a cigarette, and without most of the toxic chemicals.
The Voice has hit another hurdle with a new poll showing 55% of people intend to vote no. The survey of more than 10,000 people found almost 60% of regional Australians are likely to vote against the proposal. 72% say the government hasn't done enough to explain it and how it will work. Boosting renewable energy and education ties will dominate the agenda at today's talks between Australia and Indonesia. More from Zach De Silva.
It's a busy day of wall-to-wall meetings after the Indonesian President Joko Widodo landed in Sydney late last night. He's meeting with business leaders this morning as he tries to beef up investment, especially in the renewables sector. Indonesia is hoping to become a battery manufacturing giant. The President will have lunch with the Governor-General and Prime Minister ahead of diplomatic talks between Mr Widodo and Anthony Albanese. Lifting the number of Australians learning the Indonesian language is among the other key issues on the agenda.
And the Barbie movie has been banned in Vietnam. The film shows a map with the 9-dash line, a representation of China's territorial claims in the South China Sea. Vietnam says the inclusion violates its sovereignty. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
Here's Jono Edwards.
Thank you, Kendall. Australian tennis player Jordan Thompson is into the second round against Novak Djokovic at Wimbledon.
As silly as it sounds, I've got to believe that I can win, otherwise there is no point going out there. I know the odds are firmly against me, but yeah, I just got to go out and enjoy it and just have fun. I mean, it's not every day play Novak at Wimbledon.
Fellow Aussies Max Purcell and Storm Hunter are out in the opening round. To cricket, Nathan Lyon has been ruled out of the remainder of the Ashes series due to a significant calf tear. Britain's Adam Yates retained the yellow jersey after stage 3 of the Tour de France overnight. Former Richmond coach Damien Hardwick is tipped to take charge of the Gold Coast Suns as early as next season. Sports journalist Caroline Wilson says she expects the Triple Premiership coach to replace Stuart Dew.
It's my firm belief that Stuart Dew's days at the Gold Coast Suns are numbered, and in fact he could be gone as early as by the end of this month. The firm belief now at the club, taking it away from me, is that there has been no improvement this year in a year where improvement was expected.
Port Adelaide's Scott Lysette will miss this weekend's home game against Gold Coast, while Lachie Jones is preparing for a comeback to football with the defender to be assessed during training this week. Adelaide United will take to the field for the first time of this year, training this afternoon. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Planning a function? Speak to the Adelaide Convention Centre team to elevate your vision for your next event.
At Enfield, got a two-car smash on Regency Road at Main North Road. West Beach smash on Tapley Road at West Beach Road just near the Servo. Got delays heading back to Glenelg at the moment. Coromandel Valley, burst water main slowing things up there. Main Road near Ackland Hill Road, she's down to 40 k's. And Crafers West, look out for breakdown on the freeway. It's in the Crafers ramp, that's as you're heading inbound. Got a camera, Hanson Road, Wingfield and Martins Road at Parafield Gardens. Head into College Express and grab any 2, 4 and 20 traveller pies, 160 gram varieties and a Red Bull 250ml 4-pack for just $10. Selected stores only while stocks last. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When you've earned your dream bathroom, speak to Bathrooms by Design, Clovelly Park and Lonsdale.
Partly cloudy, a high of 15 today, a late shower or two tomorrow, 17, and showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 15. At the moment, 9. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Can you taste the tang? Cansy. Australian-grown Cansy apples are in season now. Sweet and tangy with a juicy crunch. Cansy apples are the fresh snack that can get you going in the morning and pick you up in the afternoon with their sweet deliciousness. Nothing crunches like a Cansy, so get them while you Cansy. Look for Cansy apples in-store now at your local supermarket or greengrocer. Cansy apples, the power of great taste.
Cansy. What's the best thing about winter? Definitely the Bob Burns Blinds Winter Warmer Special. Get super cozy with up to 40% off. That's up to 40% off our entire range of curtains and blinds, including our energy-efficient window coverings. With Bob Burns Blinds, you'll get that quality show home look, and you'll save money on energy bills by trapping the heat in your home. Get set for winter now with the Bob Burns Blinds Winter Warmer Special. Book your free measure and quote at bobburnsblinds.com.au.
Now, Tommy, you might be a few years off becoming an empty nester. I know your youngest is primary school, so a few more years for you yet.
Yeah, a few more, but it's getting closer. 4 and 9 years old, so I've got them for a little while yet.
But imagine eventually a bathroom that's not full of kids' bath toys or piles of teenage clothes, or even worse, a bath stained with hair dye, unless it's you, Rennie, covering up your greys.
You're hitting a little bit close to home there, Lucy. Now, I can only dream of that at this point, I've got to say. But one day, I can see it in the distant future, my bathroom will be my own, and I cannot wait. Shampoos, soaps, everything. It's always a mess with the young boys. But if you're listening out there and you've earned your dream bathroom, you have to do this. Choose Bathrooms by Design. They specialise in premium bathroom creation and installation. It is just magnificent. All their tradies, including tilers, plumbers, electricians and carpenters, are overseen by the one project manager. It makes it that much easier, and all your selections are made under the one roof.
So reward yourself every day with a luxury bathroom thanks to Bathrooms by Design. So be inspired. View their designs at bathroomsbydesign.com.au or visit them at Clovelly Park or Lonsdale.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
5AA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Lucy Lokan.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
8:39 on this Tuesday morning. The sun is up and shining. Looks to be a beautiful morning out there. Cold but lovely. Before 9 o'clock, we'll take a few more of your calls. There's still time to call Blake and Emily out there, 8223 0000, whatever you like. And we will check your fuel situation if you are driving in this morning needing to fill up with a bit of petrol. But an important one to discuss today, given that rate rises up potentially on the horizon this afternoon. We hope they won't be, but it does mean that cost of living once again in the spotlight for a Tuesday. And people are struggling with things as simple as groceries, bread, milk, all the simple things they need just to get through their day to day. And shoplifting is now even more prevalent. SAPO have remarked a 25% increase in shoplifting this year alone, which is only 6 months of the year. So at this time last year, we were 25% fewer shoplifts, but it is something in the realm of 15,000 shoplifts so far this year.
Which means people are desperate, doesn't it? I'm sure I'm, preaching to the converted a lot out there, but it is hard for people at the moment just to put literally food on the table.
People are brazen with their shoplifting of food items, and what more do you do? And food charities are helping as best they can. We've got on the line Greg Pattinson, CEO of Foodbank SA. He's remarked in the Tiser this morning that Foodbank has had a 57% increase in families coming to their food hubs. Good morning to you, Greg.
Good morning.
What exactly are you seeing are the main reasons why people are coming to you? Is it general cost of living, or are there more specific reasons like mortgages or other bills or family situations? What's the main reason?
I think all of the above. We don't necessarily, it may be specific reasons, but overall we're seeing cost of living related increases in the number of people coming to seek food assistance. And it's no longer particular regions or areas or suburbs. It's from people from all walks of life. I think in the last 12 months, Foodbank did a survey nationally, and of households with children, every second household at some point struggled to feed their family during the course of the year.
Which is really concerning, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it means if you think of your own streets, every second household with kids struggled at some point during the year.
Unbelievable. Greg, just for those people out there, and there might be a few that are really struggling at the moment, as I'm sure there probably are, how do families, and we've had this question asked on the text line, how do families access Foodbank services if they're wondering how they can get a little bit of assistance?
Yeah, of course. They can contact us on our 83511136, and what we do is we require people to come get a referral. So what we'll do is we'll refer people to an organisation in their area that can actually assist them to understand their issues and the problems. We don't allow people just to walk in off the street to shop. It has to be by referral because that's we want to make sure that people genuinely need it. But having said that, once someone comes into our food hubs, it's the fruit and vegetables and bread is free, and everything else is charged at a per kilo rate. So, and we're also trialling a self-assessment tool at the moment where we can get people to ask questions. We never turn people away. That's one important thing. And people will always leave with some food.
And Greg, what is that number again if they want that referral?
83511136. And there's also a website called Ask Izzy, or if you go to our website, there's a link that goes to a page that'll provide agencies in people's local areas where they can get referred.
Greg, I hate to ask this, but have you had any instances of people shoplifting from you?
Funny enough, we do occasionally, but funny enough, the clients that come into our food hubs call each other out. I mean, if they see someone, stealing from us, and it's not a lot of money that we're talking about. What we say to people who are in that situation is don't be afraid to ask for help. Put your hand up. There are people out in the community and people like Food Bank and other organisations that are there to help, rather than resorting to crime. And we would much rather people, it is a difficult thing to do. We know it puts a hit on people's self-esteem to actually ask for help. But please do. We'd much rather be able to provide food to you and help you get through these difficult times rather than resorting to crime, which could affect people's rest of their lives.
How can people who are in a position to be able to actually support Food Bank, how can people do that? Do you get your funding from public donations, or do you take donations in the way of canned goods or anything like that? How can we support you to help others?
Yeah, of course. We're a charity like others, so we rely on fundraising, and we are supported by the government. The government in the recent budget announced that they were increasing the support for food relief organisations like Food Bank, both through cost of living support and also through school breakfast programs. So Food Bank and Kickstart for Kids have been given us quite a substantial increase in funding to be able to support, to make sure that more kids get breakfast when they go to school. So we know, the government can be amended for that sort of thing, but the general public, much as we like food donations, the financial donations are much preferred, because we can actually buy food cheaper than anyone can buy it in a supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
We can buy pasta for 20 cents a pack, for example, whereas, it's $1.50 in the supermarket. So, and 100% of our food donations, of our financial donations, goes to buying food, because we have to buy about 40% of the food that we need to distribute.
And Greg, have you found that your resources have been under a lot more stress? I mean, Lucy pointed out the stats that there's been a 25% increase in crime. Unfortunately, people feeling like they have to shoplift food. Have you noticed a strain on your resources, or are things okay? Are you able to cope at the moment?
Well, it's pretty tight. Our supply chain, just as other food industries are being stretched on supply chain, we're still recovering from the floods on the eastern seaboard. But freight is more expensive, so we're having to pay a lot more for freight to get food from New South Wales and Victoria over to South Australia. Our own fuel, we have to pay more for food, just the same as people do in the market. So getting more food out means it's putting a lot more strain on our own trucks, our own volunteers, and our own staff. So we have to, a lot more has to get out to the country areas. That's actually, Food Bank's the only food relief organisation that operates outside of Adelaide. So we're, and people in regional areas are 30% more likely to be food insecure than people in city areas. So places like Ceduna and Whyalla and Peterborough are all screaming for more assistance. We're getting calls from Cooperpedia and Oodnadatta. We are the only organisation that can get to those sort of places. So it is getting pretty tight, yeah.
Greg, thank you so much for your time this morning. If there are people listening who are in need of Food Bank services, please give us a ring here, and our producers will be able to give you the phone number to get in contact with Food Bank. We hope to support it as best we can, but we know it is tough for everyone. Let's continue, though, the cost discussion. We'll see if we can help you find some cheaper fuel this morning. Download the free REA app today to find the cheapest fuel in an instant. The ex-convenience on Main North Road in Jepps Cross is $1.67. That is the cheapest in Adelaide. The OTR Hackney Road in Hackney, $1.69. The Mobile ex-convenience on Goodwood Road in Goodwood is $1.71. And if you're in the hills today, the Mobile at Mount Barker Road in Bridgewater is $1.73. Diesel again is staying cheaper than unleaded. The ex-convenience on Grange Road in Welland is $1.67. And you can see where more cheap fuel is in an instant with the free REA app. Download it today. And more on your roads. We were talking about old cars earlier in the morning. Steve has joined us. Good morning, Steve.
G'day, Lucy. Tom.
G'day,
How
Steve.
are you today?
Yeah, good, thank you. What have you got a bit of nostalgia you can share with us? One of your old cars that you used to roam around
certainly
in?
have. 1969 is the year. My father bought me a car, 57 Holden with no engine, hoping that it was going to keep me grounded, but my brother I'm a mechanic, so we were ready. We were ready with the motor.
He bought you a project instead, Steve.
away we go, and my then girlfriend, only girlfriend that became my wife, she a tennis player, and this old Holden had holes in the floor and the sill panel rust, and dirt roads. Saturday afternoon, she was dressed up in her nice tennis clothes, makeup, hairdo, going to the tennis. We had to go very slowly because the dust would come in and get on her white dress. So we had a blanket on the seat so it wouldn't get too much on. But yeah, that was the story, and she then became my wife, and away we went.
Oh, good on you, Steve.
That's lovely. Very considerate of you to go slowly so she wouldn't get dust on it. That's lovely.
Haven't times changed?
I know. Steve, you know what? It's cold this winter, but thank you so much for calling in. We're going to give you a $100 Uggs to You voucher. They are local manufacturers of superior, handcrafted Australian Uggs. Visit Uggs to You on the corner of Grange and Frederick Road down there at Seaton. Thank you for calling in, Steve.
They do a great job, the Ugg boots, don't they? I've actually got a pair of Uggies that I wear at home. You'd have a pair for sure, Lucy.
I've got about 3.
Yeah.
They are well worn. We will check your traffic for the run-in very, very shortly. But Salvi Ture from the SA Farmers Market's given us a ring. Morning, Salvi.
Yeah, good morning. How are you both?
Yeah, very good,
thank you, Salvi.
Look, I was listening to you guys, and Food Bank do a fantastic job, but I'm the manager of the SA Farmers Market, which we used to be the old Jeff's Cross markets at the old drive-in.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And we moved over to the produce market. And look, we are great supporters of I don't know if you've heard of them, puddle jumpers.
Yes. They help out a lot of families in need.
Oh, look, when we closed up at Chips Cross, Melanie, who's in charge out there, was so worried because without our help, they wouldn't survive. Now, we are continuing that support for them, and they are a great organisation.
They are indeed. And, yeah, how exactly are you helping them, Salvi?
Yeah.
Okay, at the end of the day, they come in with 2 or 3 trucks, and all the leftover fruit and veg that people can't bring back to, for instance, the Riverland, things left over,
yep.
All our storeholders donate it to them.
There you go.
So, yeah, and it really helps them out. I couldn't believe it one day. We were driving past on Port Road, and they've got their food thing there in the middle of Port Road,
Yes.
a green building near the old Enzo's restaurant.
Yes.
And the amount of people lining up that just desperate to get a meal. It was just, my wife and myself said, look how many people are there. I'm so proud that I'm involved in helping them out.
Thank you, Salvi, for calling us and for playing a role in helping out those in need. It's important and it's a selfless act.
Yeah, it is. And, you see and hear people skipping meals because they're, struggling to, provide enough for their families. So, making huge sacrifices. So it's great that people can get out and help. And I guess knowing about the services, the various organisations that are willing to do something to help those that are doing it tough at the moment.
When we come back, we'll finish the show with the best of Behind Closed Doors. But first, here's your traffic.
At Enfield, residual delays from Elliott, 2-car smash on Regency Road and Main North Road. Croydon Park, a smash there too, South Road near Regency Road, while at West Beach, a smash on Tapley's Hill Road at West Beach Road, just near the servo with delays heading back to Glenelg. Busy at the moment, Greenhill Road at Anzac Highway, with cameras on the drive-in, Eastern Parade, Gilman, and South Terrace at Wingfield. The Godfrey's 4-day super sale is on now. Grab yourself a hot offer on an expert cleaning solution for your home. Shop in-store or online at Godfrey's today. Hurry, ends today while stocks last. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
On 5AA Mornings today, Premier Peter Malinauskas joining me in the studio this morning and taking your calls. We'll also look at the brutal attack of a bus driver at Elizabeth yesterday afternoon. What next for security on our buses? I'm Matthew Pantelis, looking forward to your company from 9.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
It's a frightening thought, but what if you lost the capacity to manage your financial affairs? If you're not at the helm,
Who makes medical or health decisions? Who controls the family trust? From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers will answer your questions and help carry out your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com. Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide, and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
Now, this is a sensitive topic, but an important one. Have you or a loved one served in the Australian Navy, Army or Air Force? The Royal Commission into Defence and Veteran Suicide wants to hear about your military experience. It could be about suicide or mental health or other aspects of military life, such as recruitment, training, deployment, leadership, culture, injury management or transition to civilian life. Sharing your story will help the Commission create a safer, stronger and better Australian Defence Force. Submissions close on 13th of October. Call 1800 329 095, that's 1800 329 095, or visit defenceveteransuicide.royalcommission.gov.au. And please remember, if you are struggling, please call Lifeline on 13 11 14 for 24/7 crisis support.
Hey, you in the car. If your next service is due, just remember that Mawson Lakes Mazda has your back. We'll take care of you with next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash, and your breakfast or lunch is on us. Your car gets the love too, with our state-of-the-art service centre brimming with top-trained mechanics. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, we'll look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
FIVEAA Breakfast with Tom Rehn and Lucy Lokan.
The Cherry Motor 5, state-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
8:55 on your Tuesday morning. Matthew Pantelis up after 9 o'clock. He's got the Premier in studio from 9:30 answering all of your listener questions. Have the phones ready for when the Premier comes in. But for now, we're going to the best of John Blake's Behind Closed Doors. Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
And when we get behind
1395, Adelaide's 5AA, with Mike Keelan and Angie McBride.
Yes, here we are, and good morning to you, Michael Keelan.
Yeah, hello, Angie. Gosh, a big windstorm we had the other night. How'd you get on?
Oh, I know. I was standing here in the 5AA kitchen, and the door was rattling.
Well, there was quite a bit of damage around the state to houses and power lines. It's very serious.
Oh, yes, there was. And what happened to me, because I've got a large pot plant in one of those plastic terracotta coloured pots I have painted it, and I had lavender in it, and it was blown over.
Really?
Yep.
Well, it was a big storm. Emergency services were required in quite a few areas.
Yes, I know, but my big problem, Michael, was that when my pot plant was blown over,
Yep.
You know the plate that goes under the pot plant?
Yeah.
Well, that's missing altogether. So it's been picked up by the wind and blown over the fence. And I have quite high fences.
Really? Yeah. Well, it was a big storm and a lot of serious damage was done to a lot of infrastructure around Adelaide.
Yes, well, I think one of my neighbours must have my pot plant plate.
Right. Well, let's go to the Weather Bureau and find out what's in store for us. And on duty there is Tina Donaldson. Hello, Tina.
Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Angie.
Well, what's the weather going to be like coming up, Tina?
Well, conditions aren't too bad today, but with regards to your pot plant, Angie, I think that might have been because it was an easterly wind, which is unusual for South Australia.
Oh, so my pot plant didn't end up in your backyard, Tina?
No, I haven't seen it, Angie.
Right. So, Tina, that's why we had also a lot of serious tree damage around the state.
Yes, that's right, Mike. A lot of rain too, which is a contributing factor, yes.
Well, if you see my plate on your radar, Tina, can you let me know?
I will, Angie, yes. If I see a plate, I'll let you know.
Right. So, do we need to be on alert, Tina, for any more of this very serious weather.
Well, today it'll be a lot better, Michael, but still a few light showers in the southeast, but they should clear up, and light to moderate flying plates with a 30% chance of more tipping pot plants.
Oh, not my pot plants, Tina.
Right, I don't think you two are taking this all that seriously.
I do love a Michael Keelan takeoff. I think Blakey does him exceptionally
very well.
And Tina there from the Weather Bureau, I wonder how she feels about being Blakeyed.
Yeah.
Very good one there from John Blake. He will be back next week after his holidays. Tommy, you and I will be back tomorrow from 6.
Looking forward to it. And I see, I'm sure it'll be in the news, Anthony Albanese has responded to Rishi Sunak's jest and jibe about the Australians not playing in the right spirit, saying he's very proud of our team. So, bit of tit for tat. But we'll be back tomorrow. Looking forward to being on the show again with you, Lucy.
Matthew Pantelis up after the 9 o'clock news.
How easily could you save hundreds off your energy bills? That easy.